Earlier this season, the Cardinals swept the Phillies here in the city of brotherly love. They've split 2 games this week, and there's no love lost between these clubs. The Cards lead the majors in long ball, thanks to the back attack, Mark McGwire. And Jim Edmonds is having a dandy time this season with NL pitchers. The Phillies send their best to the hill in hopes of cooling off those red-hot Cardinal bats. Next on Fox Sportsnet Baseball Thursday. Fox Sportsnet welcomes you to the Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. And the Stars are out tonight for the finale of this 3-game series between National League East and National League Central. As the Philadelphia Phillies host the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals won Tuesday's game 8-2. Phillies came back last night 5-4. And we welcome you to Baseball Thursday. Kenny Albert along with Jeff Torborg. And Jeff, the name of the game in St. Louis again this year has been the long ball. 82 home runs for the Cardinals, most in the majors. And McGwire and Edmonds have combined for 27 of those 82.
Well, for 2 years in St. Louis, it was the Mark McGwire show. It is no longer that, alone at least. Jim Edmonds has added so much to this ball club. Besides the power, he's second in the league in hitting, but he brings a Gold Glove center field play with him. These two guys are really very good friends now, and they are leaders on this ball club. Very different look to the Cardinals this year.
And while the Cardinals lead the majors with their 82 home runs, the Phillies are dead last. They have hit only 32 homers, but they came through with 3 last night, including 2 off the bat of Scott Rowland.
Scott Rowland is such a big part of this Phillies team. He's a young leader. He leads the club, obviously, in home runs and production. He's also a Gold Glove third baseman, but he's a big, strong kid on a young team.
Well, the Cardinals swept the Phillies here last month. Tonight, the rubber game of this 3-game series. Who will it be, the Cards or the Phils? Baseball Thursday on Fox Sportsnet is brought to you by American General Financial Group, helping over 12 million people live the life they've imagined. Live the life you've imagined. By Nissan, driven. By True Value, where help is just around the corner. By Toyota, Toyota making it happen every day. 80-degree evening in Philadelphia. Cardinals with a record of 22-17, 13-8 at home, 9-9 on the road. Fernando Vina will lead things off, the Cardinals' second baseman, followed by shortstop Placido Polanco. The center fielder, Jim Edmonds, having an MVP-type season, will bat third. First baseman, Mark McGwire, in the cleanup spot. Left fielder, Ray Lankford, bats fifth. J.D. Drew, the right fielder, will bat sixth. Third baseman, Craig Paquette, catcher Mike Matheny, and pitcher Garrett Stevenson. The bottom of the order against 33-year-old right-hander Curt Schilling with a record of 1-1 in 3 starts.
Well, we're talking about an ultimate-type power pitcher. Curt Schilling really can pop the ball. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. That 4 seams means it's straight. He can put it where he wants it. Good downer curveball, a very hard slider. Split finger he uses for the change, but this guy is a warrior.
Schilling making his 4th start following right shoulder surgery. Defensively for the Phillies, Kevin Jordan filling in for the injured Rico Bronya. At first base, Mickey Morandini is the second baseman. Scott Rowland over at third. The shortstop is Desi Rutherford. In the outfield, former Cardinal Ron Gant, big 3-run home run last night. In left, Doug Glanville. In center, and in right field, tied for the league lead with 4 outfield assists, Bobby Abreu. Mike Lieberthal behind the plate. Schilling and Lieberthal, the battery. Schilling coming off a no decision against the Braves on Friday. He was under the weather, pitched only 5 innings. He did face the Phillies, or I should say the Cardinals, earlier this season and lost by a 4-3 count as Fernando Vina takes a strike. Vina, in his first year with the Cards, leading the team with 49 hits, batting .320. He's led off safely in 18 of his 36 starts. Make it 19 of 37 as he punches his 50th hit of the year into left field.
Oh, Kenny, Vigna is one of the new guys in this Cardinal team, and being up front, he is a catalyst. He hit a hanging curveball from Curt Schilling. He has really been a very big contributor for Tony La Russa's Cardinals. Of course, Curt Schilling, as we mentioned, is what you really call a power pitcher, but he mixes a good curveball in. That just happened to be a hanger. And what do you want a leadoff hitter to do? Put the ball in play, and that's what Vigna did.
With one away, here's the shortstop, Placido Polanco, getting the start tonight for Edgar Renteria. Vigna goes, and Polanco fouls it back, so Vigna will return to first.
Wow, did this ball get in baseball parlance in Polanco's kitchen? So much so now that the trainer is out checking with him. This ball, I don't know if it, if you say he choked up on the bat, it hit below his hands. That's how far inside it was. I believe it was a hit and run. And what happened when the ball was way inside, you try to get that ball way in there as a pitcher, and as a hitter, you're just trying to make contact. Barry Weinberg, the trainer. Now here you see this pitch. Look how far in it is, and it keeps going. And he swings at it, and it looks like the top hand, he got hit somewhere around the forearm or elbow of the top hand, but it came off the bat first, I guess. Either that or he'd be at... Of course, when you start a swing, the rule is when you start a swing, something like if you get hit by the pitch, you were hit trying to swing the bat. But I don't know whether it hit him directly or foul off the bat. Here's the pitch from Schilling. Watch how it just keeps running right in at Polanco. He goes to swing at it. I couldn't tell from that where it hit him, but obviously he's in pain. And that's a good way to thwart a hit-and-run attempt. Throw the ball so far inside that the hitter cannot get the bat on the ball. And when you can throw as hard as Schilling, you can make some things happen. We talked about Schilling throwing a four-seamer or cross-seam fastball. That means it's relatively straight, but he's got such pop on it that he can really locate it. The four-seamer is the pitch that pitchers usually throw when they want to make sure they can throw the ball straight or way inside.
So a one-strike count on Polanco with Vigna, the runner on first, top of the first inning. One is inside for ball one. 1 ball, 1 strike to count on Cardinals shortstop Placido Polanco.
Well, you see Polanco looking down at third base. Jose Oquendo, the third base coach, going through a set of signs. When you look at the base runner at first base, you try to figure if you're the defensive team whether he's going to run or not. He does not have the great kind of lead you see with the right foot up on the turf. He's still in the dirt completely. And that sometimes will give the defensive dugout an idea, well, maybe he's not running here. That doesn't mean he might not be going on a hit and run. Because as a general rule in a hit and run, you tell your base runner, you cannot get picked off here.
Slow roller to the third baseman, Roland. No time for two as Roland fires to first to retire Polanco. Vigna moves over to second.
Now, Kenny, so often we talk about, if kids are watching, about how to play this game. One of the things you have to do before every pitch is delivered is to know what you're going to do with the ball for everybody on the field, what they're going to do if the ball is hit to them. You can see Scott Rowland knew that ball was hit so softly there was no chance at going to second base. He never even looked there. He threw to first base. That's planning ahead.
So with one away, Jim Edmonds steps in. You saw his numbers against Schilling, 2 for 2 with a home run. That was back on April 30th here at the Vet. Edmonds hit his 13th of the year on Tuesday night into the upper deck. He became only the 16th player in the history of this ballpark to reach the upper deck. Ball strike. So Edmonds quickly falls behind, 0-2. Our Toyota league leaders. Edmonds among the league leaders in many offensive categories.
Oh, Kenny, you said he's having an MVP type of year, and you are absolutely right. This guy is exceptionally strong to hit out of his spread stance.
Yeah. one gets through. Vigna held up. And the Cardinals have runners on the corners with one away, and Mark McGwire stepping to the plate.
Well, not a good feeling ever to face Mark McGwire, because no park is small enough to hold him, or big enough to hold him, I should say. Everyone seems small. But when you have a situation with base runners on, even though the Phillies now are putting on an exaggerated shift, the second baseman, Mickey Morandini, is playing way over in a shortstop position. And Terry Francona is just saying to Mark McGwire, okay, go ahead, hit the ball to the right side. We'd rather keep you in the ballpark over here.
McGwire swings at the first pitch and pops it up to the right side. Foul. Not enough room for the first baseman, Kevin Jordan. McGwire, 536 career home runs. He is tied for 8th all-time with Mickey Mantle. And McGwire reached 536 in over 2,000 fewer at-bats than Mantle.
Oh, boy, those are some numbers. You know, watching what he's done the last couple of years, people now, I think, are probably taking it for granted once it's been done. But it's hard to imagine what this man has accomplished.
And there's a drive, deep center field, and this one is out of here. A 3-run home run for Mark McGwire, and he is now all alone in 8th place, one ahead of Mickey Mantle, his 15th of the year, 537th home run of McGwire's career.
As he touches home plate, folks, we are watching history being made. This guy is really something. And strangely enough, a guy in Philadelphia in a Cardinal replica uniform got the ball in the bleachers. 250 pounds. Here he goes. Ball in the middle of the plate up. Look at this. Gets a release with a top hand and just rockets this thing out.
A 3-run first-inning home run as we take a look in sync.
That is what you call power against power. Look at the reactions of both men. A pitcher knows when one's going to hit off him. Schilling, I think, probably just wondering how far. Mark McGwire is certainly not one of the guys that would be called a hot dog in the game, who does not stand there and watch him. He hits him, and he knows when he's crushed him. But he heads for first base. That's power and power, because Curt Schilling is a power, straight, hard fastball. Tried to run that ball by Mark and didn't get it there.
Ray Lankford pops it up, shallow right. The second baseman, Morandini, is under it for the second out. Mark McGwire has now homered 11 times in his last 22 games, as he has given the Cardinals a 3-0 lead here in the first inning, and you may hear the boos throughout the crowd here at Veterans Stadium as J.D. Drew, the former first-round draft pick of the Phillies back in '97, steps up to the plate. He did not sign, of course, re-entered the draft, and was selected 5th overall by the Cardinals the next year.
Well, Kenny, you can see why he was taken #1 by the Phillies. This guy has really superb talent. Last year he struggled. He had some injuries. He was trying to overcome the pressure of all the story about his sitting out and not signing with the Phillies and going back in the draft. But this young man has exceptional tools. Last year they fed him a lot of off-speed stuff, and he wanted to hit so badly that he was not selective. And you can see how he was drafted before he went to Florida State, selected 20th by the Giants, and just kept moving up. As a freshman, he had 3 home runs in a College World Series game. He wears #7, and there's some sort of likeness to Mickey Mantle.
Strike called, and the count is now full.
Well, you keep looking at Mark McGwire. We talked about it in the open. It's not just the Mark McGwire show anymore. Just think about who was on base ahead of him.
J.D. Drew heads down to first. Only the 5th walk of the season issued by Curt Schilling in his first 4 starts.
Kenny, what I was starting to say was Fernando Vina, new addition coming over from Milwaukee. Jim Edmonds coming from the Angels. They were both on base when McGwire hit that home run. When you get runners on, it changes the way hitters are pitched to. It's difficult to pitch around a big power hitter, such as Mark McGwire, with runners on base.
Here's Craig Paquette, who drills one to right, and this is off the wall in right field. Holding up at third is Drew, a stand-up double for Paquette, who is now 10 for his last 13. It's his team-leading 11th double of the season.
Well, you can hear how that ball jumped off that bat. You could hear the sound of that wooden bat. And that ball rocketed off that right field fence. Abreu couldn't even get back there quickly enough to hit off the fence. The Phillies did a good job, though. Abreu got the ball into Morandini, which kept the run from scoring. J.D. Drew could not score because the relay was made. Bobby Abreu getting the ball to Mickey Morandini, who then in turn threw the ball to the plate. And Jose Oquendo, the third base coach for the Cardinals, had to hold the runner at third. Those little things can save some runs.
So runners on second and third with two away for the Cardinals catcher Mike Matheny. Matheny batting .240, but he's done a terrific job behind the plate. He has thrown out a league-leading 67% of base runners who have attempted to steal.
That is incredible. And his other catching friend on the same team, Marrero, has done the same, not quite the same, but pretty close. They are a tandem of two of the best throwing catchers you'll see in a game. That's what we're talking about with the Cardinals. When you talk about the Cardinals are a different team, they're the #1 team defensively in the National League. They're strong everywhere, especially up the middle. Tony La Russa's got the kind of club he likes. You know, watching Curt Schilling right now, Kenny, I've been watching the radar gun readings. They're not very high for him. And that's easy to say after you see McGwire deposit one in the bleachers, but he's around 91, where normally he's 93, 4, 5, and putting the ball where he wants it.
Now 3-1 on Matheny. Second and third, 2 outs. Cardinals ahead 3-0. Runner on third, J.D. Drew. Craig Paquette on at second, and they will put Matheny on and pitch to the pitcher, Garrett Stevenson. Schilling has already thrown 25 pitches this inning.
Yeah, he wanted that pitch, that last pitch before the intentional walk to Matheny. He thought that was right in the outside corner. Now, if he had been having a good inning, he might have gotten it. Outstanding umpire behind the plate, though. Philadelphia's own Jerry Crawford, whose dad, Shag Crawford, was a great longtime umpire.
Garrett Stevenson, the Cardinals pitcher, 0 for 14 this year, and there was no love lost between Curt Schilling and Garrett Stevenson. They were teammates here in Philadelphia, and it has been well documented in the newspapers over the last couple of days, the Schilling-Stevenson situation. Here's Relaford, and he throws out Stevenson, who grounds out with the bases loaded. But the Cardinals have got on top 3-0, thanks to number 15 this year, number 537 all-time, off the bat of Mark McGwire. Well, in case you joined us late, what you missed was Mark McGwire's 3-run homer in the top of the first inning for the Philadelphia Phillies with a record of 14-24, second worst record in the National League. Center fielder Doug Glanville will lead off, followed by left fielder Ron Gant, Bobby Abreu in right. Scott Rowland, 2 home runs last night. Bats cleanup, followed by the catcher Mike Lieberthal. Kevin Jordan in the number 6 slot. And the bottom of the order, second baseman Mickey Morandini, shortstop Desi Relaford, and the pitcher Curt Schilling. As the Phillies face a former teammate, 28-year-old right-hander Garrett Stevenson, with a record of 5-0 in his 7 starts.
Kenny, his stuff is nothing special. He's winning with an excellent changeup, his #1 best pitch. Fastball, nothing special. Curveball down or okay.
Jeff, as you mentioned, Cardinals lead the majors in defense. They have committed only 16 errors. Mark McGwire at first base. Fernando Vina has not yet committed an error this year. He is the second baseman, nor has Craig Paquette. He will play third tonight. Placido Polanco is the shortstop for St. Louis. In the outfield, Ray Langford in left. Gold Glover Jim Edmonds in center. And the right fielder is J.D. Drew. Behind the plate for the Cardinals, Mike Matheny. So the battery, Stevenson and Matheny. Not only is Stevenson 5-0, but one of the big reasons why, run support. He leads the National League. Cardinals score 9.5 runs per game in his starts, including tonight, since the Cardinals already have a 3-0 lead. Stevenson has had a 3-run lead in all of his starts this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, I saw him quoted as saying sometimes it is difficult to pitch with a lead. I've never heard a pitcher say that before.
Now Glanville takes a strike. Glanville 5 of 7 in this series. He's batting .426 over his last 14 games. Top of the order has been outstanding as of late for the Phillies. But they have a deep hole to climb out of tonight already.
Well, Mark McGwire made that happen. Take a look at the bat, and it's what they call a sweet spot, right there on the bat. And that's where he got it, with a head out, as they call it, with a bat in front of the plate. And that thing just took off.
Stevenson comes inside to Glanville, and the count now 1-2.
Now, we talked about Stevenson and the stuff that he has. Now, there's a fastball. He got him down. That ball sunk a little bit, and he's got it. He can get it up to 88 miles an hour. But what he has is a great changeup. It's a circle change, and it just stops. But that sets up his other pitches. This had a little sink to it. See how high he got with his arm, and the ball kind of went down a little? And this surprised Doug Glanville because it was low and in. He wasn't sure it was a strike.
So with one away, here's Ron Gant, the former Cardinal, who hit a 3-run homer in yesterday's game. All 5 of the Philly runs scored via the long ball. Gant's 3-run shot. Scott Rowland hit a pair of solo homers. The 0-1 from Stevenson. Now 0-2.
Now, it's interesting when you look at this. You were talking about the lack of friendship between Garrett Stevenson and some of his teammates, namely Curt Schilling. Well, the same is true of Ron Gant, who was traded from St. Louis to the Phillies, and his comments about Tony La Russa. Now, unfortunately, you know, I have great respect for Tony La Russa. You hate to see some things commented on the way they came out in the media, but sometimes feelings are hurt. And
this one slicing to the right fielder, J.D. Drew, who makes the catch for the second out.
But you never know how personal relationships go with managers and players, and there are times under duress things are said that feelings are hurt, pride is hurt. And Ronnie Gant made some comments about Tony, saying that he was not liked by a lot of ball players, and Tony said, no, that's really not fair. And it's unfortunate, you know, that somebody starts speaking for other people and it runs somebody's reputation down. These are both really classy guys, and you hate to see that.
Here's Bobby Abreu. He takes strike 1. Abreu 7 for his last 17. And as you see, he is tied for the National League lead in outfield assists with 4.
Well, sometimes those lists are misleading. Sometimes guys that are up there with assists are the guys that are run on like crazy by a lot of teams. That's not the case with Bobby Abreu. He has got a true right fielder's arm. That's the position in the outfield. You want the strongest arm, because that's the longest throws to third base. And Abreu has a terrific arm.
Now 1-2 on Abreu. Stevenson has been ahead of the count 0-2 for the first 3 batters he's faced. And the 1-2 ground ball to the second baseman, Fernando Vina. A 1-2-3 first inning for ex-Philly Garrett Stevenson. .16 against Schilling, but all 3 hits have been home runs, including his 15th of the year tonight. Fernando Vina goes down the left field line, heading for second. Here's the throw from Gant. It's off the mark, and Vina has his second hit of the game.
Well, we talked about Fernando Vina making things happen. When you have a leadoff hitter, puts the ball in play, as he did the first time up on a hanging curveball. Now he shoots a double inside the third base line. He runs well. He's an aggressive type player. he, what you call, sets the table for the big hitters. You know, when you get those table setters on, all of a sudden the pitchers have to do different things throughout the lineup. Here's the pitch, a fastball up and away, and he shoots it inside third base for a double.
Now, Placido Polanco looking to move Vina over to third, but he fouls off the bunt attempt for strike one. Polanco bounced to third back in the first inning.
Now, some people might be asking, well, why do you have your number 2 hitter bunting in this situation? Tony La Russa's looking for that 4th run. That 4th run takes a grand slam to tie the game.
Polanco lays down the bunt. Schilling off the mound, fouled the ball, and then gets the out at first. One away, and the Cardinals second. Edmonds coming to the plate. Well, are you looking to put your sports knowledge to the test? Then be sure to tune in to Sports Geniuses, the new nightly game show that'll challenge the most knowledgeable of sports fans. Sports Geniuses, weeknights at 6 and 11 p.m. on Fox Sports Net. Check local listings, hosted by our colleague Matt Vasgersian along with Lisa Guerrero. Sports Geniuses on Fox Sports Net. Following the sacrifice 1-4, Jim Edmonds steps to the plate. Edmonds singled, came around to score on the McGwire home run in the first inning. Edmonds now 10 for 19 in the 6 games here in Philadelphia this season.
Well, if you take a look at the defense, we'll show you in a minute, they're playing way up in the infield. Now, this is tough playing on this green highway here. This artificial turf is fast. You play that close to the plate with a powerful hitter like Edmonds, you're taking your life in your hands.
Edmonds fouls it back up into the press box, just 2 booths over from us. Tuesday night, Edmonds went deep into the upper deck here at the Vet, only the 16th player to do so.
Well, we talked about how strong he is. He hits out of a spread stance, which makes him stay on the ball more. When you're spread out like this, you don't commit as quickly. And he can hit to all fields. As you can see, he's got power to all fields. Very quick through the strike zone. And as most left-handers do like, he likes right-handers better. And he missed that fastball from Schilling away. But notice the gun reading. It was 90 miles an hour. That's not Kurt. Normally, when he's really popping the ball, he's 94, 95 out there.
Full count. McGwire and Edmonds have homered in the same game already 6 times this year. 6 times in the Cardinals' first 39 games. McGwire on deck hit a 3-run shot in the first inning. Vina is the runner on third with 1 away. Edmonds fouls it back over the screen behind home plate.
Now, it's interesting when you see a power hitter, and Edmonds is a power hitter, obviously, foul the ball off like that with a shortened up swing. He didn't take a big swing there. He spread out. He just rolls back on his front foot, and he just flipped at that ball. He knew he couldn't handle it. That's why he's hitting for high average.
The payoff pitch from Schilling, and he strikes out Edmonds. First strikeout of the game for Curt Schilling. So with Edmonds heading back to the Cards dugout, time now for a Fox Sports Net game break. Reds hosting the Pirates in Cincinnati. Score tied at 3. Bottom of the 10th inning, 1 away. Mike Garcia on the mound for the Pirates. Alex Ochoa singles to right center, scoring Pokey Reese the game-winning run as the Reds beat the Pirates by the score of 4-3 and pull a half game ahead of the Cardinals in the NL Central as McGwire hits his second of the night. 2 home runs in 2 innings for Mark McGwire.
How do you describe that? That was a moonshot. That ball was in the upper deck and way into the upper deck. You know you got a power pitcher supplying a lot of the power on the fastball, and then big 250-pound Mark McGwire hits the ball solidly, and that's what happens.
His 64th multi-home run game. He is now all alone in second place in that category. behind only Babe Ruth. He was tied with Willie Mays. Mark McGwire has homered twice in 2 innings tonight. His 15th and 16th home runs of the season.
Big, strong man, short swing, gets the bat out front, almost identical to the first one. Releases with the top hand. Wow. Now, we showed you before pitcher and hitter. Here we show you another in sync. Watch McGwire watch it. We don't get Schilling, though, but he knows this one is really crushed.
McGwire now 2 ahead of Mickey Mantle, only 10 in back of Mike Schmidt, the Philly great who is 7th on the all-time Major League home run list with 548. McGwire now at 538.
How many can he hit if he stays healthy? That's the big question. Can he catch Henry Aaron?
McGwire is actually hitting home runs at a better clip than he did in his record-setting 98 season. Coming into the game tonight, as we check out Mike Schmidt's retired number, coming into the game, McGwire this year homering once every 6.4 at bats. As Langford takes ball 4, third walk tonight, issued by Curt Schilling, and pitching coach Galen Cisco will pay a visit to the mound.
Well, absolutely. As Galen Cisco goes to the mound, he's concerned. His ace is on the mound. He's come back from surgery. He's getting smacked around. He does not have the same velocity that you normally see Curt Schilling have, and that's often the case. He's already thrown 43 pitches. We're only in the 2nd inning. He's the kind of guy that will want to stay out there. He won't want to come off that mound.
Our Top Flight XL 2000 all-time home run list. Frank Robinson, 4th all-time. McGwire only 48 away. And as we mentioned, only 10 behind 7th place Michael Jack Schmidt.
Well, at the rate he's going, he'll pass Frank Robinson.
Yes, tonight.
I was talking about Schilling. You know, he throws that good, live, hard fastball, and he's a guy that wants us so much for his team. He's really a competitor. Sometimes when his command is off, maybe doesn't have real good pop, he's going to get smacked around. That happens to all. There's a quick snap throw, and that goes into the outfield. That is should not be an error on the catcher. That was a play that Kevin Jordan tried to grab the throw and throw the tag down, and it went off his glove. Lieberthal on a very quick tag.
And the error is charged to the catcher, Mike Lieberthal. Only his 2nd error this season.
Well, as an ex-catcher, I don't agree with this one, but watch how quick his feet are. Boom. Barely even turns. Flips the ball down. This goes off of Jordan's glove. See him reach for it? Well, maybe it was wider than it looked from here. That official score, unfortunately, did get that right for a former catcher. But the point I was trying to make with Schilling is he throws hard, and if he doesn't have the real extra pop on his fastball, they're going to hit it if he doesn't locate perfectly.
Now 2-2 on J.D. Drew with 2 outs in the top of the 2nd inning. Mark McGwire has already homered twice. A 3-run shot in the 1st inning, a 2-run homer here in the 2nd. And the Cardinals lead the Phillies 5-0. Jeff, guess how many pitches McGwire has seen tonight from Schilling in his 2 at-bats?
3?
Yes. 2 and 1.
2 and 1, yeah. He only needed 2 the first time. The second time he didn't mess around.
4 career hits off Schilling. They have all left the ballpark. 4 for 17.
Well, Kenny, that last one he hit should count for 2. I mean, that thing went so far up there, it was incredible. You notice how Mark sits in the dugout and he blinks and he closes his eyes, holds them closed. He wears contacts and he wants to keep them moist.
A perfect illustration.
Yeah. had a great catcher who played for me and was a captain for me, Carlton Fisk, going in the Hall of Fame this year. He had a dry eye condition. Did that a lot.
Morandini to first, and that will do it for the Cardinals in the second. Big Mac has done it again. He homered in the first, and here in the second inning, Schilling's first pitch into the upper deck in left field. Mark McGwire, 2 home runs tonight. We spoke about it with his longtime manager.
You look at the names he passed as he got close to 500. Then when he got to 500, the first few names, he was already in that category of some of the greatest sluggers of all time. So now when you get to Jimmy Foxx and Mickey Mantle, I mean, these are all in that same category of guys that anybody who follows baseball identifies as the greatest of the greatest. And our guy who's still playing is among them. That's why I say, you know, let's not miss the opportunity to watch this guy in action, because, you know, 5 years from now, he's done playing maybe, and the chance is gone.
And remember, Tony La Russa was McGwire's manager not only with the Cardinals, in Oakland with the Athletics as well.
He really was, and he watched Mark go through some difficult times. Back in 1990, he only hit .202. They were really concerned about him. He had some injury-filled years, and that's the amazing thing, that he has these numbers that he has because he missed a couple seasons with a foot problem.
Lieberthal to deep left, and this one is off the top of the wall. A stand-up double, first hit of the game for the Phillies. Garrett Stevenson retired the Phils in order in the first. Scott Rowland fly to right for the first out of this second inning. And now Lieberthal doubles off the left field wall, his 9th two-base hit of the year.
Kenny, we've been talking so much about Mark McGwire and the Cardinals, and they have a loaded ball club with a lot of depth. This Philly team is a good-looking young team, and this is one of the guys that's impressive looking. That was a high fastball out over the plate that Lieberthal got the head of the bat out on. Last year he had 31 home runs, 96 RBIs, and hit 300, and played every day as a catcher. And that's really accomplishing something.
Here's the first baseman, Kevin Jordan. Jordan batting .250, working on a 7-game hitting streak. Rico Brogna, the Phillies' regular first baseman, broke his wrist last Wednesday. He was hit on the wrist with a pitch up in Montreal. Pat Burrell, the first-round pick 2 years ago, the projected star, playing at Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and it is expected that the Phillies will bring up Burrell in the next week to 10 days. He has moved back to first base from left field. Edgar Renteria has come in the game at shortstop. Remember, Polanco took that pitch, or fouled a pitch off his elbow in the first inning. He did come to bat one more time, but has left the game. But the feeling here in Philadelphia is that Burrell will be a Philly within the next 2 weeks.
I would think so. I watched him in spring training. I went to spring training this year with the Expos as a guest instructor, and I watched Burrell. He's a great big kid, and he's a much better athlete than a lot of people gave him credit for. He's a big guy, 6'5", close to 230 pounds. He had been a third baseman. They moved him to first for a while. They moved him to left field, and now, of course, he's got to go back and get a little more comfortable at first base. The Phillies are going to miss Brogna. Exceptional defensive first baseman with a good left-handed power stroke. And the Phillies need help. I mean, it is hard to believe that this young team, they can throw one of the best young lineups at you, position for position, is hitting as poorly as it is as a team. I mean, last in the National League in home runs. They are just way down the list of what they're capable of doing.
13th in the National League in batting average. You mentioned last in home runs with 32, last in total bases, last in runs batted in, and the second worst record ahead of only the Cubs. And manager Terry Francona has taken some heat in the media lately, and many of his players have come to his defense, led by tonight's starting pitcher, Curt Schilling.
Well, I'm so glad that Curt did this. Terry Francona is an outstanding young manager. And Curt's comments were something like this, if I can paraphrase him. He has not thrown a bad pitch. He has not messed up a play defensively. He has not gone hitless. He said managers sometimes get too much credit when a team wins, but twice as much blame when they lose. Terry Francona is a very classy young guy who puts the focus where it should be, on his players.
Full count on Kevin Jordan, one away. Lieberthal, the runner on second. Jordan with a drive to left. Langford is under it for the second out. Well, we spoke with Terry Francona about his future first baseman, Pat Burrell.
But every time you talk to a scout, it's pretty much unanimous. In fact, it is unanimous. Everybody thinks this guy's going to be a player. About the worst thing you can say is can't miss, because you hate to say that, but I don't see how he's going to miss. He's got raw power. He's a good hitter. For a young hitter, he understands the strike zone. He's a real hard worker. A much better athlete than I think we gave him credit for. You know, we already moved him from third base to first base to left field. He handles it all just fine.
And now back at first as Mickey Morandini hits this one into the gap. Right at the gap sign in right center. Coming in to score is Lieberthal. And the Cardinals lead is now 5-1. RBI number 10 on the season for Mickey Morandini.
As the longtime great announcer for the Phillies, Harry Callis will say Mickey Morandini has just doubled up the right field alley. That was a curveball he hit. He hit a hanging curveball and drove it up the right center field alley to drive in Lieberthal. Morandini's had a nice career, Kenny. You know, he had a little off year last year with the Cubs, but the year before he had an all-star type year for the Cubs. And of course, he was the anchor in that infield with that World Series team in '93 here in Philadelphia.
Izzy Relaford 0 for 8 this series. And you mentioned spring training with the Expos. You were a guest instructor. Morandini was with Montreal until he was sent to the Phillies in late March.
Had an excellent spring.
Bounce towards second base. Here's the throw from Vina. And Relaford beats it out. An infield single for Desi Relaford to keep the inning alive.
Well, one of the things the Phillies wanted, they have a real good young second baseman. You see the replay of this. Here's Vina, second baseman for the Cardinals, trying to make this play, and Relaford is really hauling down the line, but from that replay, it looked like he was out. But I guess it's a lot easier to umpire from up here with replays, but they have a young second baseman in Marlon Anderson in the minor leagues. He's a very fine-looking young player. Real good offensive player. And just getting his feet on the ground defensively.
Schilling lines one right at the second baseman, Vina. So the Phillies strand 2 in the second, but they do score a run on 3 base hits. And now trail the Cardinals 5-1. Home runs tonight for Mark McGwire. He now leads the National League with 16, surpassing Barry Bonds, who has hit 15 home runs on the year. Curt Schilling faced 9 Cardinal batters in the first, 6 more in the second inning, as the Cardinals have scored 5 runs on 6 base hits. And we'll send the bottom of the order to the plate here in the third. Craig Paquette doubled back in the first inning. He is now 10 for his last 13, 5 for 8 this series. Filling in for the injured Fernando Tatis, who had an outstanding season last year, but may be out until the All-Star break with a groin injury.
About this time last year, we did a lot of Cardinal games on Fox, and we were talking about Tatis leading the Cardinals in home runs and RBIs early in the year.
In fact, Tatis, as Paquette flies out to Glanville in center, Tatis was second in the National League in RBIs when he got hurt last month. 1 away in the Cardinals' third. Coming up here on Fox Sports Net, The Last Word, as Jim Rome and his guests discuss the pros and cons of realignment in Major League Baseball. Guests include Commissioner Bud Selig, Diamondbacks owner Jerry Colangelo, and Devil Rays owner Vince Namoli. Tonight, 11:30 p.m. on Fox Sports Net. The Last Word with Jim Rowe. Here's Mike Matheny, who was intentionally walked with a full count with 2 outs in the first inning, and the pitcher Stevenson on deck. And Matheny takes strike one. One and one on the Cardinals catcher, Mike Matheny. And he pulls this one foul down the left field line, so the count now 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It's a warm night out here. Kenny, you mentioned when the game started it was 80 degrees, and you can see Curt Schilling's bat is soaking wet. And he has really been working hard. He's a maximum effort type of pitcher. He's got a drop and drive delivery. It can be very smooth, but it also takes a lot of effort. He really uses his legs and pumps to the plate.
Here's Ronan at third.
All right.
For the second out. Time now for another Fox Sports Net game break at Turner Field in Atlanta. Bottom of the 6th inning. Giants leading the Braves 2-1. Bases loaded. Greg Maddux at the plate. He grounds to the second baseman, Jeff Kent. The runner on first, Javi Lopez, wisely gets in a rundown so that Rafael Furcal is able to score the game-winning run from second. Bobby Bonilla had scored the tying run from third. Greg Maddux now 5-1 as the Braves win it. A broken bat pop-up to the second baseman, Morandini. A 1-2-3, top of the third for Curt Schilling. The Philly Fanatic entertaining some of the fans here at the Vet, who have already been entertained by Mark McGwire. Cardinals, Jeff, are the second biggest draw on the road in the National League this year, trailing only Ken Griffey Jr. and the Cincinnati Reds. And McGwire has gone deep twice in the first and again in the second inning. And he is due to bat fourth next inning for the Cardinals against Curt Schilling, who settled down, retiring the Cardinals in order on 7 pitches in the top of the third.
Well, he did settle down. He's the bottom of the order, too. There were a couple pitches that were just outside. You know, you talk about this game being a game of inches. They just missed, and it put him behind in the count, so then he had to come in the middle of the strike zone. That's when he got smacked around a little bit. But if he does settle down, he'll demand or hope that they'll stay with him.
Top of the order for the Phillies here in the third against Garrett Stevenson. Doug Glanville was called out on strikes back in the first inning. For Garrett Stevenson, this is his 8th start. His last appearance on the mound for the Cardinals was in relief in a game against the Dodgers in L.A. on Sunday. Pitched a perfect 8th inning out of the pen. This is his first start in 9 days. Glanville fouls it off down the right field line, 1-2.
Kenny, when you look at this Cardinal team with the additions they've made, and especially in their pitching staff, Darryl Kyle, Pat Henkin, Andy Bennis, and the young kid Rick Ankiel.
Grounded to the second baseman, Vigna, another new addition, and he throws out Glanville, who is now 0 for 2.
And you also have Matt Morris, who is trying to get back after having a bad arm.
Ron Gant steps in for the Phillies. He flies to right his first time up. As we take you back, September of 1987. Ron Gant's first Major League home run while playing for the Atlanta Braves, and it came off none other than your former battery mate, Nolan Ryan.
You know, it's funny. Curt Schilling reminds me a little of Nolan, the way he pitches and goes at hitters. You know, he uses his legs, drives to the outside part of the plate, can run it in when he wants to. Whereas Nolan threw a little bit harder, about 6 to 8 miles an hour harder. But Curt Schilling has that same kind of makeup, prepares for the game. In fact, it was Nolan Ryan that got Curt Schilling to really prepare mentally for a game. Curt Schilling really compliments and gives credit to Johnny Padres, his former pitching coach, another former teammate of mine from the Dodger years, for being his pitching coach.
And Curt Schilling spent the 91 season with the Houston Astros.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw Curt Schilling in the Red Sox uniform, and then later with Baltimore. I always thought he threw awfully hard, but he was in the bullpen then, so you didn't see much of him. And I was managing him, and I was glad not to see him come into a game because I thought, gee, this guy throws hard.
Yeah, with a base hit into center field. A one-out single. Fourth hit allowed by Stevenson as Bobby Abreu steps to the plate. Abreu bounced to second base to end the first inning.
Kenny, as I see Bobby Abreu, sometimes you go and look at hitters. As a former catcher, you used to sit and look at a hitter's stance and see how you get him out. And other times, just as a fan, you look at guys and say, who does he look like? Well, this guy really reminds me of Robbie Alomar in his stance.
Alomar, who earlier extended his hitting streak to 12 games for the Cleveland Indians.
Well, you're talking about two good hitters. You can see it last season. Abreu really put it together. 353. And he really hit well with runners on. He was a guy who came up through the Houston Astros organization. And Houston had to make a decision when the expansion draft came around whether they would keep Richard Hidalgo or Bobby Abreu, and they decided to keep Hidalgo. And Abreu went through Tampa Bay to here to Philadelphia for Kevin Stocker. There had been talk early with Abreu that they didn't think he had the kind of power that you'd want from a wing outfielder, from one of the corner outfielders. Well, a lot of times it just takes a while for somebody to, first of all, to fill in their body, but also get to know how good a hitter they are and know the league they're in.
Now 3-1 on Abreu with one away. Camp the runner on first, and Scott Rowland waiting on deck.
You know, so often when you see this, one of the nicest swings in baseball, some other times it said it's a pretty swing. Very patient hitter. Normally from a left-handed hitter is when it looks so pretty.
Pops this one up. Chasing is Matheny. And it lands on the top of the dugout, just out of the reach of Mike Matheny. But a good effort.
Excellent effort. It's dangerous around those dugouts. But here's Bobby Abreu. You can see where his hands are held high, right up in here. He's got his front shoulder down. Watch how he rocks back. He gets his weight back, lifts his front foot. Look at this. And then the hands come flying through. Look at that. Now, he just got under that ball a little bit.
Camp the runner on first, full count. Gant goes. And this one is caught by the center fielder Edmonds as Gant hustles back to first.
You know, having looked at Abreu's swing, and you see that kind of swing, you think that ball's really going to go somewhere. But remember when we looked at the first ball that McGwire hit, and we talked about the sweet spot of the bat, hitting right on the hardest part of the bat? This ball was not on the sweet spot of this bat. That's why it didn't go any farther than that. If Bobby Abreu got that out and got it on the sweet spot of the bat in front of the plate, that ball would have really traveled.
2 away for Scott Rowland. Fly to right, leading off the second inning. Rowland tied for 8th in the National League with 12 home runs, including 2 solo homers last night. 7 home runs in his last 18 games.
Kenny, I've heard so many people that really know the game of baseball talk about how special Scott Rowland is. You know, you have the physical specimen. We know that. He's a big guy, 6'4", close to 230, with a nice short stroke for a big guy. Gold Glove winner, good arm. But he's got the other parts of this game, the mental side. He really comes to play. Take a little look at a hot zone, which shows where he's hot or where he likes the ball. See, there are only a couple places he can get him out. Now, this spot, it's inside. Inside, most hitters you can get out there, and then low and away. This one up here at 190, that might be a mistake. He just didn't. He went for a couple bad balls above the zone.
Stevenson comes in with the 2-0. 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 And it's fouled off back behind first base, so the countdown 2 balls, 1 strike on Scott Rowland.
You remember the story, Kenny, about how this guy showed how tough he was and what kind of leader he was? He got hit a couple times by Hideo Nomo when he was with the Dodgers. And after getting hit the second or third time, he went to the Dodger clubhouse to discuss it with him. Now, I don't mean he went in to punch him in the nose, but he said, I've had enough of this. Knocked on the door and said, come out, I'd like to talk to you about this. That's impressive.
Rowland, the deep center on the warning track. Edmonds against the wall, makes the catch. Rowland shows warning track power, but it was not enough. And Mark McGwire due up 4th for the Cardinals following Vina, Renteria, and Edmonds. Welcome back to Fox Sports Net Baseball Thursday from the city of brotherly love. Jeff Torborg's transportation to the stadium tonight. Is that you, Jeff? Is that Susie? Maybe not.
No, we should be there, though.
Next time.
That's sharp. I like that.
Cardinals leading 5-1 as we start the 4th inning. And Fernando Vina already has 2 hits tonight. He scored 2 runs. Single to lead off the game. And doubled down the left field line, leading off the 2nd inning. Now it's 51 hits on the season, which leads the Cardinals. He scored 35 runs, which is among the league leaders.
Can he take a look at the way he stands near the home plate, why he's tough to pitch to? He's very close to the plate. The front foot is closer to the plate than the back foot, but he also curls his front shoulder in. So now he's right on top of the plate, almost saying, throw that ball in on me, and he'll do anything. He'll turn into the ball with that right shoulder and take a hit for the club. Look how close he is.
He's been hit by a pitch 4 times in the last 8 games.
Well, I believe it. Watching the way he stands at the plate, he's not afraid to get hit in that front shoulder like Ron Hunt, Don Baylor. But look what he's done for this club. On base percentage, 427, runs scored. He's a stolen base threat. Now, there are not going to be a lot of stolen bases for this club, not with a punch in the middle of the order. You don't want to get anybody thrown out, not when you have these guys that can hit the ball of the moon behind him.
3 Phillies converging, and the catch is made by Bobby Abreu, straddling the line. So Vina is retired for the first time tonight. Jeff, going deep, steps into the world of the adrenaline junkie. 50-foot waves, 1,000-foot free falls. But do these daredevils have a death wish? Hooked on Adrenaline, Sunday at 7 on Fox Sports Net. Going deep with Chris Myers. Check local listings. Edgar Renteria batting for the first time. Placido Polanco suffered a bruised right forearm back in the first inning. Renteria batting .266 with 8 home runs. This one slicing. Hits on the warning track in right center. And Renteria in with a stand-up double in his first at-bat of the game.
The hitting coach for the Cardinals, Mike Easer, has always preached using the whole field. Now, you hear that a lot of times by hitting coaches saying stay in the middle of the field. Mike has really pounded it into his hitters. Now, Renteria, there's Mike. Good left-handed hitter himself. But a guy like Renteria used to hit the ball the other way a little bit with a flares kind of stroke when he was with the Marlins until he filled out. He's big and strong now. Now he drives the ball that way. Of course, if we remember Edmonds' first at bat in the first inning, he hit the ball to the left side.
This time to the right side. Nice backhand play by Jordan. The toss to Schilling. 2 away, and Renteria moves to third. No intro needed.
Every ballpark in baseball, when this man comes to the plate, starts to buzz. just about the time he's leading the on-deck circle. He doesn't even have to stand in the batter's box.
Galen Cisco slowly walking out to the mound as Schilling prepares for McGwire for the third time tonight.
I'd like to hear what he's going to tell him how to pitch this at bat. Galen is such a good man, former fullback at Ohio State, pitcher at the major league level. They're going over how they want to pitch him here, and they're probably saying very carefully. And I don't think they want to walk him. That's the thing. You know, that wouldn't look like the type of thing you'd want to do in this situation. You see Kurt putting that glove over his mouth. He doesn't want anybody reading his lips saying, man, I don't think he could hit one any farther than he did the last one.
McGwire has 4 career 3-home run games. The last was right here in Philadelphia 2 years ago tomorrow. He has 2 tonight. The infield shift is on once again. 2 outs. Renteria, the runner on third. And the 4th pitch of the game to McGwire is ball 1. He homered on 2 of the first 3.
Well, he made sure he got that away. But look at this shift. Way around to the left. They just weren't playing deep enough and high enough the first 2 times. Now here you go. Here's your defense right here. But you know where they got to play up here.
He went into the upper deck his last time up 462 feet.
Well, now they're shifting it back over because they're intentionally walking him.
And the crowd here at the vet not happy with the hometown Phillies walking Mark McGwire.
I'll tell you, the way he's swinging the bat, this is a smart move by Terry Francona. Don't give him a chance to really knock you right out of this ball game any farther. Well, that was a sporting chance. He gave him at least 2 pitches, you know, that he was trying to get over the outside part of the plate. Now he's deep in a hole. Terry said, why take a chance? You've got a struggling hitter in Ray Langford, only hitting .206, even though he's left-handed. We'll take our chances there.
Ray Langford takes strike 1. You know something special is in the air in Philadelphia, in the city where they booed Santa Claus, when the hometown fans would have liked to have seen an opposing player hit a home run.
How about the pass, Mike Schmidt?
10 to tie, 11 to pass. It may happen next week.
Well, you never know. I mean, power hitters hit him in bunches, but McGwire especially, when he gets in a groove. Oh, what a career that guy had. Mike Schmidt, Hall of Fame third baseman, another Gold Glover. What those shoes are Scott Rowland's trying to fill.
Ray Langford fouls it back. So the count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes. And there is the Phillies' third baseman, Scott Rowland, who went deep twice in last night's game, a 5-4 Phillies victory. All 5 Philly runs came via the long ball. All 5 Cardinal runs tonight, thanks to a pair of Mark McGwire home runs.
Kenny, we were talking before the game about his Gold Glove. He got it in 1998. He tied Brooks Robinson as the youngest ever to win a Gold Glove. Am I right?
At the age of 23. 2-2 from Schilling. He got him. Langford strikes out for the 42nd time this season in only 108 at-bats. He still believes.
Well, this is where Tug McGraw started to coin that phrase. You got to believe, wasn't it? Was it here or was it with the Mets? And he brought it down here?
Yeah, it was with the Mets.
Oh, okay.
And then he brought it to Philadelphia.
Right. Flapping his glove against his leg.
Mike Lieberthal had the Phillies' first hit of the game. A double back in the second inning. And Lieberthal takes ball one. Garrett Stevenson has allowed a run on 4 hits over the first 3 innings. Stevenson came up through the Orioles system, but he made his first major league start with the Phillies against the Cardinals just over 3 years ago, back on May 13th, 97. And in that game, his first major league start, he struck out 12 Cardinals. He set a Philly record, most strikeouts by a pitcher in his first major league start. As we take a look at the pitch count, 52 pitches so far. And it was the most strikeouts by a major league pitcher in his first ever start since J.R. Richard back in 1971, when he struck out 15 in his first start. As Lieberthal flies out to Langford and left. And that was Stevenson's first start in the majors for the Phillies back in 97. He pitched 3 games in relief with the Orioles in 96. He was an 18th round pick of the Orioles back in 92 after a career at Idaho State. And we mentioned the 5-player deal with the Cardinals back in November of 1998. Stevenson 6-3 for St. Louis last year, 5-0 so far this year. So 11-3 in his Cardinals career.
You know, how often do you see that happen? And I would say probably very often when somebody has a sensational game against one club. If there's a trade down the road, he ends up going to that club. Plus, we were talking about Stevenson early in the game. Not exceptional fastball, but a great changeup. You just saw his overhand curveball. Now, there have only been 2 hitters in this game that he's gone behind 2-0 in the count. They were the last 2 hitters prior to this, and that was Rolen and Lieberthal. Until then, he was getting ahead with everything. We talked to his pitching coach, Dave Duncan, before the game, and Dave said, you know, he's not going to flash a lot of great stuff, but if he can locate his pitches, he can win. And you see right there, he pitched that ball inside. Dave Duncan, you can see, keeps charts on everything. Dave is really a student of the game. With some pitchers, he doesn't work with mechanics. He just works with their head. He tries to make them believe in their stuff, not trying to do too much.
And you mentioned the makeover of the Cardinals staff this year. Here's the 1-2 to Jordan. Missing outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. With the addition of Darryl Kyle, who's 6-2. Andy Bennis, who won Tuesday's game. Stevenson, his first full season with the Cardinals. Here's Renteria. And he just gets Jordan for the second out. The outstanding rookie, Rick Ankiel, who is 4th in the league in earned run average, 2.72. Pat Henkin has struggled to 3 and 4, but here is what the Cardinals have done. The earned run average is high. It's over 5. But the Cardinals have scored a lot of runs. They lead the majors with 84 home runs. And we talked about the run support Stevenson has received in his starts this year.
Well, sometimes you pitch to the runs that you get, too. I mean, you don't have to be so careful, so you'll give up some more runs. It's when you're pitching low-run games that the opposition is holding your club down where you've got to stay so close. But Dave Duncan has done a great job wherever he has been. You know, he was always very good with veteran pitchers. Kenny, you were mentioning Kyle and Henkin and Bennis. On the other side, you see what the Phillies have new guys. And, of course, Mike Jackson has been injured most of this year and is trying to come back. But Dave Duncan has taken guys like Bob Welch, Dave Stewart, Dennis Eckersley. They made him a closer. They're sending him to the Hall of Fame. Obviously, he's the one that accomplished it, but they put him in the right spot. And there's a pitch right there on Mickey Morandini's hands is what Duncan preaches about. If you get ahead, you can go back in on the hands, pitch in and out. But Dave Duncan has done a tremendous job everywhere he's been, starting with Cleveland, Seattle for a while, the White Sox, Oakland, here in St. Louis.
remains 2 balls, 2 strikes. With 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th inning, Garrett Stevenson and the Cardinals leading the Phillies 5-1. Mark McGwire has supplied all the offense for the Cardinals with home runs in each of the first 2 innings. He has driven in 5, 1 shy of tying his career high. Stevenson missing on the outside corner, and the count is now full.
We just saw a pattern. He kept 3 in a row inside on Mickey Morandini's hands and then went low and away.
Will this stay fair? No. Curving just foul on the right field foul pole.
Now that surprised me. Normally when you get to 3 and 2, it's easier to get a strike on the outside part of the plate rather than inside. So he had gotten to 2-2 pitching hard in, then he went low and away. I thought he'd go low and away. Instead he went inside and Mickey almost hit him out.
Morandini hits this one into the gap in right center. Cut off by the right fielder Drew. The throw is off the mark. And Morandini has his second 2-base hit of tonight's game.
Well, Kenny, we talked about Morandini being a spark plug, a leader, a solid defensive player. We were talking about his being in spring training with the Expos. Look, watch his head here on this. Right down the bat. He didn't try to do too much with it, released with his top hand. But he could not beat out Jose Vidro, who's a hitting machine for the Expos. And the Phillies were delighted to get Mickey back here in Philadelphia. He didn't look right in blue uniform anyway.
No. He wore red in college at the University of Indiana. Red for 8 years here in the Phillies. And now back. He doesn't look good in anything but a dirty uniform. We have a little brown mixed in.
That's true. Well, you can really appreciate a player like this. He plays, he comes to play hard, his hair looks a little scruffy. He fit right in with that 93 team that Jim Fregosi had here, didn't he?
A 1-1 to Jesse Rutherford. Now 2 balls, 1 strike. The Morandini double was the 8th extra base hit of tonight's game. There have been 12 hits in the game. 6 doubles, the 2 McGwire home runs, only 4 singles. Rutherford gets a piece of it. So the count now 2-2.
Oh, he mentioned earlier in the game about the Phillies and their lack of offense. And when you go position by position with the Phillies, you've got good offensive players. They just have not put it together. It's been a struggle for them this first 2 months of the season. And it's certainly telling on Terry, but you wouldn't know it to talk to him. You wouldn't know it to hear how he refers to his team, or even when he has a team meeting. And that's a tough job for a manager. You know, he's got to make sure he's tough enough, but at the same time, you don't beat somebody up for something they are not responsible for. If a club's playing hard, it's just not working. The Phillies had hoped that they could play well enough early in the season that they could get Schilling back and they could be right in the thick of things. But their offense fell off so much early that they got themselves in a big hole.
Stevenson getting set for the 2-2. Morandini, the runner on second. 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th, and now Stevenson steps off. There's Morandini. Rutherford stays alive. And 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yes. He hit it. Rutherford hit by the pitch. So he heads down to first. And the Phillies have runners on first and second with 2 outs. And Curt Schilling stepping up to the plate.
Well, the runner at second base, he's going to try to make sure he gets this ball inside, and it cuts in and chases him, hits him in the leg. It's a two-seamer. And with that, that's the ball that has action, and you can see Relaford trying to get that leg out of the way, but just can't. That ball kept chasing him. Curt Schilling's got a chance to help himself big time here.
Schilling takes ball one. He lined out for the second baseman, Vina, with two base runners in the second inning. Schilling again comes to the plate with two men out. Morandini, the runner on second. Relaford on at first. Strike called by the home plate umpire, Jerry Crawford. 1-1.
Well, add to the equation what you were talking about earlier, Kenny. These two guys don't like each other, and publicly have said so. I think there isn't a battle going on between these two right here.
They made some unflattering remarks about each other after Stevenson was traded by the Phillies to the Cardinals a year and a half ago.
And that last pitch, Curt Schilling said to the umpire, hey, that's the strike I wanted.
There's the 1-2. Schilling got a piece of it. Schilling was asked earlier this week when the Cardinals came to town about Stevenson's 5-0 record, and Schilling's answer was, if you score 9.5 runs a game, anybody can be 5-0. The 1-2. Again, it's the second baseman, Vina. He throws out Schilling, who leaves two men on once again. 4 innings of the books from Philly. 5-1 Cardinals. Scoreboard back in Philadelphia, where the Cardinals lead the Phillies by the score of 5-1. Our American General, this date in baseball history. May 18th, 1988. 12 years ago today, the ace Dave Stewart walks for the 12th time that season in May, breaking a Major League record. You mentioned Dave Stewart earlier, pitched for Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan with the Oakland A's.
Yeah, that was a change in rules and interpretation that year, where they were turning any move to first base, if it wasn't a step over the jump or any move, they would call it a balk. And Dave Stewart was out to prove that it wasn't a balk, and they kept calling it and calling it.
J.D. Drew falls behind 0-2. After the game on Tuesday, several Cardinals said they believe that the public address announcer here at the Vet, Dan Baker, changes his voice inflection when introducing the former Phillies draft pick who did not sign, J.D. Drew. And Drew said, I've noticed. Everyone has noticed. He even did it when I moved from left field to right. I think it's pretty humorous.
Well, this young man has really got his head on straight. He struggled last year, as we said, pressuring himself a little. If he goes down on that high heater, now anybody goes down on that pitch right under the hands.
One out in the Cardinals' fifth. Time now for another Fox Sports Net game break. The Diamondbacks and the Expos in Montreal. Diamondbacks with a 5-2 lead, and Felipe Lira serves up the gopher ball. Steve Finley goes deep, his 15th of the year. The score is now 6-4 Arizona. They are in the 6th inning at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. So Finley is one behind Mark McGwire, tied with Barry Bonds. Bonds led the National League coming into play today with 15. McGwire was one behind with 14 home runs, tied with Finley. McGwire has gone deep twice tonight, Finley once, so McGwire now has the lead with 16. Finley and Bonds 15 apiece. Mark McGwire was intentionally walked his last time up by Curt Schilling. The count now 1-2 on Craig Paquette. Third consecutive strikeout. Schilling getting into a groove.
Well, that's a good way of putting it. He really is starting to get smooth now, and he's been able to spot his fastball. But this is a break and miss, an all-speed pitch, and a bottom falls out of it. I think this is a split finger here. Yeah, and the bottom falls out of it. He's got a downer curveball, but you can see the difference in the spin. A split finger, it's like kind of tumbles. Curveball rotates. Let's see if we can see the spin on the ball, and you can see the difference in the pitches. Now, when he comes out of this pitch, the ball that will tumble like this slowly is a split. See, there's not much seam around that you see. If that had been a curveball, that has a tight rotation that you'll see spinning very tightly. The strange part is that the split finger fastball has the same rotation that the outlawed spitball has. Now, he sets up his split finger in his glove before every pitch because it's easier to move away from that. Ooh, that was a good one. Most pitchers that have a split finger in their repertoire will use that grip to start with because that's the toughest one to get the hold of first. Now, if he wants to change to a fastball, he just slides his fingers together.
1-2 on Matheny. Schilling looking to strike out the side. Since McGwire's second home run, Schilling has faced 12 batters. He's allowed only one hit. The Renteria double. He's walked 2. 48 wins over the last 3+ seasons. As Schilling sets up for the 2-2.
Well, that was a good example. We just had a shot of the split finger grip in the glove. You had just seen 3 split fingers in a row that fell. Bottom fell out of it. You could see the radar gun reading about 80, 81. Then all of a sudden, that last one, 93-mile-an-hour fastball. But he starts with a finger split. But he can change them when they just slide together. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Now he just turned the ball. This might be a breaking ball. He's put his fingers together.
Matheny into the gap in left center. Another extra base hit. The 4th double of the game for the Cardinals.
I think that first grip we saw was the better of the two.
Yes.
I think he set that up to grab a 4-seam, and he put his fingers together, and it didn't get the action that he wanted. How tight he stays together, a lot like Nolan Ryan. Keeps his hands close to his body and then the follow through. You know, I'm wrong. He went to a 2-seamer. He tried to get it to run a little bit and left it over the plate.
Nice play by Morandini. And he throws out the pitcher Stevenson. So the Cardinals strand Matheny midway through from the vet. 5-1 McGwire. Middle of the 5th inning from the vet. Curt Schilling, the Phillies ace, has allowed 2 McGwire home runs. When you think ace here in Philadelphia, you think Steve Carlton. This was his 300th win back in 1983.
Boy, was he tough with that real hard breaking ball, that slider, the big left-hander. One of the guys that had one of those daily rituals working in the rice bucket. About Carlton, we were talking about Nolan Ryan. Steve Carlton and Nolan Ryan at one point around 3,000 strikeouts. Carlton was ahead of Nolan.
And remember, Carlton spent the first 7 years of his career in St. Louis with the Cardinals.
Yes, was traded for Rick Wise.
Doug Glanville punts it foul down the 3rd base line. Glanville 0 for 2 tonight, caught looking in the 1st. Bounced to 2nd in the 3rd inning. Glanville tied for 2nd in the National League this year with 6 sacrifice bunts. This time looking to reach base via the bunt.
Well, this guy can play the game a little bit. He's very bright. He went to University of Pennsylvania right here in town. He's from Teaneck, New Jersey. Dad's a doctor, mom's a teacher. This guy was an engineer, graduate engineer, knows how to play the game.
There's a base hit into right field. You know what his college term paper was about?
Yes, it was about a stadium being built here in town, and you didn't think it was wise to go down near the railroad station. Is that right?
That's exactly right. The effects of a new ballpark on traffic patterns in the city of Philadelphia. Boy, I thought we'd get you on that one.
No, I wondered if the mayor would commission him, except I think the mayor wants it down there. But this guy is really, Glanville's really fun to watch. He had 204 hits last year. It really came of age. It took him a while. He was the #1 pick by the Cubs several years ago.
And who is he acquired for from Chicago?
Mickey Morandini.
You're good to say.
Doug Glanville can fly. He's not a great base stealer. He's got 8 this year. But he really doesn't have that part of his game perfected. But obviously, when you got a kid that's that bright, somewhere along the way, he'll get it down. He just was not real confident in his ability before. Now, when you're down 4 runs, you got to be careful, because if you're going to try to steal base, you better be able to make it. He's got a good lead. He gets out and he gets his right foot up on the turf. When you get your right foot out of the dirt and up on the turf, you know you got a pretty good lead. Not quite there yet.
He has stolen 8 bases this year. 8 for 10. As Gant takes ball 1. Ron Gant 1 for 2. Singled in his last at bat. Cardinals leading 5-1. Mark McGwire has driven in all 5 St. Louis runs with 2 home runs. A 3-run shot in the first inning. A 2-run shot in the second. He came into the game tied with Mickey Mantle for 8th place on the all-time home run list. He is now 2 ahead of Mantle as Ron Gant takes ball 2. Now 2-1. Nobody out. Bottom of the 5th inning. Glanville is the runner on first.
We've talked so much about increased offense, and you see Mark McGwire with the size of him. Ron Gant, weightlifter. Hitters are stronger these days than they once were. There's so much talk about the pitching being thinner in the middle of the bullpens, and because of expansion, some of the ballparks are smaller. They're saying that the ball might be juiced. I think one of the biggest things, look at the build on Ron Gant. He was a little infielder when he started with the Braves. Came back after a winter off, and look at the size of him.
Glanville goes. Here's the throw from Matheny. And Glanville is in with his 9th steal. And he does it against the Major League's top catcher as far as throwing out base runners is concerned.
Well, watch this in sync. You'll see why the catcher, Matheny, had no chance. He had 6 strides before Garrett Stevenson delivered the baseball. I don't care how good a rifle arm you have from behind the plate. If the pitcher doesn't hold the runner close, you got no chance.
Payoff pitched again. Called strike 3. He was on his way down to first. Punched out by the home plate umpire, Jerry Crawford.
Well, I've been impressed with Garrett Stevenson, the way he has pitched inside.
Well, next week on Fox Sports Net Baseball Thursday, some of you will see Carlos Delgado on the Blue Jays as they take on the Red Sox. Others will see Jason Kendall on the Pittsburgh Pirates as they meet the Diamondbacks in Phoenix. Check local listings. Baseball Thursday, 1 week from tonight on Fox Sports Net. Bobby Abreu fouls one back to the screen. 1 strikeout. Abreu 0 for 2 tonight. 1 out. Glanville, the runner on second. Phillies trailing the Cardinals 5-1. Stevenson missing on the outside corner. 1-1.
Kenny, we've talked about guys that made impact on the game. We're talking about Mark McGwire tonight. So often it's forgotten what Maury Wills did for the game of baseball, how he changed things in 1962. When would you have seen a club try to run? That ball's just a little low. When somebody would try to run 4 runs down. Here are the 2 good buddies.
Perhaps someday. And there's Glanville with the leadoff second.
The point I was trying to make is, you know, the game has changed in its philosophy. And one of the things that Maury Wills did was make everyone aware of the stolen base, how it could be an integral part of your offense.
Strike call. 2-2. Phillies right fielder Bobby Abreu. And Roy Wills also spent time with you as a guest instructor with the Montreal Expos this spring training.
Kenny, he's sensational. He was a great player. People don't realize how good he was. Captain of 3 World Championship Dodger team. Had over 2,000 hits, batted over 280. Lifetime. He just was a sensational player. Captain of those Dodger teams. He didn't score many runs. You know, a Dodger run would be Morey getting on somehow and stealing second. Junior Gilliam getting him to third and a sacrifice fly. It was a Dodger home run in those days.
Excuse me, Jeff. You may have seen Stevenson hesitate and then step off the mound. The crowd cheered as the Philadelphia Flyers scored a goal. Many of the fans in attendance listening on the radio, and that threw off Stevenson. Here's the 2-2. Stevenson just misses, and the count is full. We're talking about the Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL. Ron Hextall retired last year, but the Flyers are leading the New Jersey Devils 3-1. The series is tied at 1. That game up in East Rutherford, New Jersey at the Meadowlands tonight, but many here in attendance. At radios with earplugs. Abreu to deep left field. Langford on the warning track. Makes the catch. 2 away. Scott Nolan will step to the plate. Here's what he did last night. In the Phillies' 5-4 victory over the Cardinals, a pair of solo home runs. Ron Kent and the 3-run shot. Phillies, who have homered fewer than any other team in the majors. Only 32 home runs on the season, but 3 last night. And that was the difference. Tonight, rolling 0 for 2. Fly out to the warning track in 7. His last time up. 2 outs. Glanville, the runner on second. Nolan swings at the first pitch. And it's thrown out by the shortstop, Renteria. So the Phillies strand the base runner in scoring position. 5 innings in the books from the vet. It's the Cardinals 5 and the Phillies 1. Garrett Stevenson chatting with pitching coach Dave Duncan in the Cardinals dugout.
This is what Dave Duncan does. This is what coaching's all about. It's during the game as well. You don't work on mechanics during the game. You work on the head. You work on your game plan. You work on encouraging, and you see the pitcher go up and shake the catcher's hand. Probably also said, I'm sorry I didn't hold the base runner any closer. When Doug Glanville took off, I should have kept him closer. That goes on during a game in the dugout. At least it does with a good team.
Brando Vigna has led off the first, the second, the fourth, and now the 6th inning tonight. He's 2 for 3, a single, a double, and he has scored 2 runs. We saw Mike Matheny in the dugout. Feature on Matheny of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch earlier this week. He's having more fun than he has had since high school, he said. And the Cardinal pitchers love pitching to Mike Matheny. Ground ball to the shortstop, Relaford. He throws out Vigna. 1 away. Time now for another Fox Sports Net game break. We head back to Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Here come the Expos, trailing the Diamondbacks 6-5. Bottom of the 6th inning. Brian Anderson on the mound. Lee Stevens at the plate. And Stevens goes to deep left field. His 9th homer of the year. They are now tied at 6. In the top of the 7th inning, the Expos, one of the surprise teams in baseball. 2nd place in the NL East. 5.5 games behind the Braves, who won their 6th in a row this afternoon. 3-2 over the Giants. The Expos looking to win their 4th straight.
Wait a minute. I told you in the beginning of the year they were going to be good. That's not a surprise team.
Yeah, you were biased. But you did say it. You have to give credit where credit's due.
I'll tell you, Lee Stevens has really made a difference in that ball club because he's an outstanding defensive first baseman with that left-handed pop. The unfortunate part is for the Expos, he's a free agent. I don't know if they'll be able to sign him. That's a good team. People don't realize how good that team is with an exceptional manager, Felipe Alou.
That three-way trade during spring training has also benefited the Blue Jays, who acquired Brad Fulmer.
Yes.
David Segui is injured in Texas. 3 first basemen changing squads: Segui, Stevens, and Fulmer.
Yep.
Renteria doubled his first time up. And this is his second hit of the game. He did not start the game. He replaced the injured Polanco, and he is now 2 for 2.
Kenny, you see this happen all the time. A guy wasn't supposed to be in the lineup. They're giving him a rest job, and for some reason he ends up in the game, and he has a good game. Cocks his hands and just gets ahead of the bat out and hits it up through the hole between short and third. And you can see watching that ball bounce on this stuff. It's not like grass. It might be green, but that's the only similarity.
So a one-out base runner with Jim Edmonds at the plate. Edmonds 1 for 3. Mark McGwire waiting on deck as Edmonds takes ball 1. Edmonds recently signed the longest contract in Cardinals history. A 6-year deal with an option for the year 2007. He would have been a free agent after the season had he not re-signed. He was in the final year of his contract. Ironically, back in '97, before McGwire was traded from Oakland to St. Louis, McGwire and Edmonds were nearly swapped for each other. The A's and Angels were talking about a possible McGwire for Edmonds trade.
I remember that. Can you imagine how the Angels must have felt watching Mark McGwire do what he's done over the last couple of years?
How do you think they feel this year watching both guys?
Now they're both together. And you know, it's amazing. Every player that goes to St. Louis seems to love it there. They say it's a great baseball town. The fans really care about you. They understand the game.
The 100th pitch of the game from Schilling is ball 4, the 5th walk issued by Curt Schilling tonight. As Mark McGwire will head to the plate in the first inning. A 3-run home run on the second pitch from Schilling. In the second, he left the ballpark into the upper deck on the first pitch from Schilling, and then he was intentionally walked in the 4th inning. So McGwire tonight has hit his 15th and 16th home runs of the season. He comes to the plate here with 2 base runners and only 1 out in the Cardinals' 6th.
Yep, 2 runners on in front of him again. No place to put him. You can't be too careful. Probably try to stay away from his power. Baseball saying you can't stay away from his power. His power's everywhere.
Swinging for the fences. 0-1.
Now that was a sharp breaking ball. You see Curt Schilling set the ball in his glove for the split finger grip, and then he'll change it depending on the pitch. Mark McGwire is so much better a hitter now than he was with Oakland. When he had all those home runs when he was a younger player. You see him, he bends his legs a little bit in the crouch, but his bat is right back in front of that back Cardinal on the bat on his uniform. And he's got this short, quick swing for a big guy. Remember, he's 6'5", 250 pounds. And he's got arms on him like tree trunks. But he gets ahead of the bat through that zone.
Now 2 balls, 1 strike.
The fans are moaning a little bit. Curt just missed. You can see him talking to himself. He thought that was a strike. If that missed, that just missed the ball width.
4 career hits off Schilling, 4 home runs. Grounded to the shortstop, Relaford fires across to retire McGwire on the shift as both runners advance. So now 2 away. Saturday, the New York Yankees visit Jacobs Field in Cleveland on FX. Saturday baseball, 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And the scheduled pitching matchup on Saturday, Jeff, you and I will be there at Jacobs Field. David Cohn for the Yankees, Jared Wright for the Indians.
I'm looking forward to that matchup. I was just looking forward to that matchup we just saw. And in the shift, that the Phillies had on really got Mark McGwire, because Desi Relaford, the shortstop, was playing in a hole. That would have gone through for a single normally.
Ray Langford swings at the first pitch and hits a long foul down the left field line. 0-1.
So we were talking about the matchup tonight and how Curt Schilling pitched to him. The first pitch was a hard curveball and a fastball down and away. Fastball missed outside, and then a breaking ball away. And that's where the shift got him, because the ball was in the hole.
Now 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Renteria, the runner, on third. Edmonds on at second. McGwire retired. And sensible walk and a ground out in his last 2 at-bats following a pair of home runs. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes. We talked about Langford's ratio after he struck out in the 4th inning. He has now struck out 42 times in 108 at-bats this year.
Kenny, you know, he's had some years where he's had great years and other years weren't so good. He was worrying about maybe his eyesight. So last week he even had his eyes examined. And because he had drops in his eyes, he tried to play the night game a day later, and he had to come out of the game.
Strikeout number 43 on the season as the Cardinals strand 2 base runners in the 6th. They still lead the Phillies by the score of 5-1. Welcome back to Fox Sports Net Baseball Thursday from Philadelphia. Beautiful look at downtown Philly on this 80-degree evening as we move to the bottom of the 6th inning with the Cardinals leading 5-1. And Lieberthal swings at the first pitch from Stevenson, and he flies out to Ray Langford in left field. So Lieberthal now 1 for 3. Big sports week here in Philadelphia. We mentioned the Flyers playing game 3 of their Eastern Conference Final Series in New Jersey tonight. Tomorrow night, across the street, Larry Brown's Philadelphia 76ers will host game 6 of their playoff series with the Indiana Pacers. It's always been such a great sports town. Phillies advancing to the World Series, of course, in '93. Flyers have had great success. 76ers now back on track. Eagles heading in the right direction under their head coach Andy Reid. Kevin Jordan with a base hit into right field as he extends his hitting streak to 8 games. And we all know about the fans here in Philadelphia.
I always liked coming in here to play. Of course, it wasn't coming in here, but I've been into Philadelphia, used to play at Connie Mack Stadium with the Dodger teams. Philly fans were knowledgeable fans. I mean, you know, they let you know how they felt, but they also showed appreciation for good baseball.
Mickey Morandini takes a strike. Morandini has doubled twice tonight. He drove in the Phillies' only run back in the 2nd inning.
Now, it's a long time ago now, but this was a team of 2 major league, a town of 2 major league teams originally.
3rd hit of the game for Morandini. Holds it first. Jordan advancing all the way to 3rd. And the Phillies have runners on the corners with only 1 out.
Well, they pitched Mickey in all night long. And he likes the ball from the middle in if he lays off the one that's in too far. But he turns on this pitch and hits it right over down the first base line. Watch the pitch. Actually, Matheny set up away. But the ball is not low and away. It's up and out over the plate. It actually wasn't as in as much as I thought it was, the way Mickey pulled it. But they had been pounding him inside, and now he's got 3 hits.
Phillies with a chance to get right back in the ball game. Desi Relaford Singled in the second, was hit by a pitch in the fourth inning. Phillies have sent out a pinch hitter, Chris Pritchett, into the on-deck circle to hit for the pitcher, Curt Schilling. 1 out, runners on the corners. And the Phillies 6th. Rutherford reaches out, singles to left. Coming in to score is Jordan. And the Phillies have crept within 5-2. 9th run batted into the season for Desi Rutherford.
This is a nice piece of hitting here by Desi Rutherford. We'll take a look at in sync here to see how the base runner at third base, anything hit to the outfield, he's going to tag up unless he's sure it goes in. He is instructed, hey, anything hit in the air to the outfield, you got to come back and tag up. Desi Rutherford did a nice bit of hitting the ball out away from him, just shot it in the left field for an RBI, kept this rally going.
So now the former Angel, Chris Pritchett, who was called up after Rico Brogna suffered the wrist injury. Pritchett was among the league leaders in batting in spring training with a .404 average. Hit 4 home runs, 13 RBIs. And he is 1 for 7 at the plate since his recall. So Curt Schilling's evening is over. He went 6 innings, and the only runs he allowed came on the pair of Mark McGwire homers.
Now, Pritchett's been around a little bit. He was an All-American at UCLA. Big guy, 6'4", 212. And as you mentioned, Kenny, when you get down to the end of spring training, you're the last cut, which can break your heart sometimes. But if you go out and keep pounding and playing the way you know you can play, there's a good chance you'll get back. But he's 30 years old, been around a little bit.
Pritchett represents the potential tying run with the Phillies down 5-2. 1 out, 3 consecutive singles. Morandini is the runner on second. Rutherford on at first. Pritchett. Now 2 balls, no strikes. So Stevenson, who had been sailing along, getting into trouble here in the 6th. He's allowed 3 consecutive base hits.
2-1. Oh, there's that changeup. That's a pitch that looks like it's a fastball and never gets there. Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, when we had a shot of standing in the dugout, a little uneasy watching Garrett Stevenson pitch, but that is that changeup he talked about. He said he can throw that thing. It doesn't seem to go anywhere. It just stops on the way to the plate.
Popped up foul. Now 2-2.
Pitches. Sometimes we overplay the pitch count. It depends on the type of innings you have. You have a real tough couple of innings, that can take a lot out of you. But if you just sail along, you'd like preferably to see 12 to 15 an inning.
Ripped foul back behind first base. So the count remains 2-2 on the pinch hitter, Chris Pritchett. Batting for the pitcher, Curt Schilling, with Doug Glanville waiting on deck. Here's Schilling, rolled out 5 runs on 9 hits. In 6 innings, walked 5, 2 intentional, and struck out 5, and allowed the 2 McGwire home runs. Pritchett pulled out on strikes.
Did you see what Curt Schilling was doing in the dugout? He was giving the indication that he's going to go inside. He was rubbing his hand across his stomach. He was exactly right. That's exactly what they did. Watch where this pitch is. Inside. Look at this. Garrett Stevenson has lived in there tonight, and successfully. Tony La Russa now out to see the umpire. That means, it normally means when you see that, it'll be a double switch.
So that will be all for Garrett Stevenson. He will exit with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning and a 5-2 lead. So the adversaries, Schilling and Stevenson, both out of the game. Mike James will come into pitch for St. Louis. 32-year-old right-hander Mike James, another former Angel, will come on to pitch here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Comes on with 2 outs, 2 men on, and Doug Glanville due up. So Garrett Stevenson went 5 2/3 as he accepts the congratulatory high fives from his teammates. But remember, the 2 men on base are Stevenson's responsibility.
Well, you can definitely see with this double shift, Sean Dunston goes into left field. Mike James is a side wheeler who is tough on right-handers. He's a guy who came up through the Dodger organization originally and then made his mark over with the Angels until he blew his elbow out and had the Tommy John operation, but very effective against right-handed hitters in his career. 1 year in 1996 for the Angels, appeared in 69 games, and can be real effective. So you see what Tony La Russa is trying to do is get the matchups that he wants. He wants to try to nullify Doug Glanville just a little bit with a side wheeler.
Morandini, the runner on second, Relaford on at first. James will bat 5th in the order in Ray Langford's spot. Langford had struck out his last 2 plate appearances, and Dunston will bat 9th, so he will be due up 4th in the next inning. As Doug Glanville fouls off the first pitch for Mike James. Down the right field line, Glanville 1 for 3, singled and stole second in the 5th inning. 2 on, 2 outs. 1 run in here in the 6th. Cardinals still leading 5-2. Garrett Stevenson receiving only 5 runs from his teammates tonight. He leads the National League in run support, 9.5 per game. Mark McGwire supplying all of the offense tonight for Stevenson. Remember, the Cardinals have had a 3-run or more lead in all 8 of Stevenson's starts this year. He's 5-0. The 0-2 from James. He comes on and strikes out Glanville with 2 on to end the 6th inning. 1 run, 3 hits, 2 left. 6 in the books from the vet. 5-2 St. Louis. Well, Garrett Stevenson goes 5 2/3 for the Cardinals. Allows 2 runs on 9 hits. No walks, 3 strikeouts. The Stevenson-Schilling matchup. They both threw over 100 pitches. And Stevenson exits with a 5-2 lead.
Now, we thought we had a good matchup, and to a certain degree it is a good matchup. Curt Schilling, though, ran into a big roadblock in Big Mac McGwire, and Stevenson did just what Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa needed to be done in that short period of time, and they made the move with him with the lead. Now the Phillies bring in Jason Boyd, who's really bounced around. He started out spring training with Pittsburgh, was claimed off of waivers by Milwaukee, and then claimed by the Phillies. And we could hear before the Cardinals yelling to one another in the dugout, he's a good, sharp slider. He has a good slider.
And the crowd reacts favorably as J.D. Drew swings through strike 1. Drew struck out his last time up. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. The numbers on Boyd. Drew falls behind, 0-2, leading off the Cardinals' 7th. St. Louis on top, 5-2. McGwire, a 3-run homer in the first, his 15th of the year, a 2-run shot in the second, number 16. The 0-2 for Boyd, high and away, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Kenny, not having seen Jason Boyd before, I want to take a look at him, and right in the first 2 pitches, you saw the 2 best pitches he has. The first pitch was a downer breaking ball, like a slider or a curveball that he got in front of what was sharp and hard, and then he threw a sinking fastball. And the last two have been wild up, but a lot of pitchers use two different grips on their fastballs. One's a four-seamer to ride up in the zone, and one is a two-seamer to drive down. Well, the book on J.D. Drew, and he's already struck out one time against Schilling on a fastball right at the letters. They got ahead of him and tried to run it up, but Boyd has not been able to get it where he wanted.
Drew gets a piece of it, stays alive at 2-2. Drew, Paquette, and Matheny for the Cardinals here in the 7th. St. Louis looking to keep pace with the Cincinnati Reds. They beat Pittsburgh this afternoon 4-3. Reds a half game in front of the Cardinals in the NL Central. Cardinals 5 games over the 500 mark. They head to Pittsburgh following tonight's game, the 3 with the Pirates, and then return home. Boyd just missing on the inside corner, and the count is full.
Jason Boyd is good stuff watching him here. It looks like he can be a little wild, could be a problem. And of course, there are a lot of guys that have great arms that can't get it over, but he's got a live fastball and a good fighting slider. There's the slider. 87-mile-an-hour slider. That's hard. What a slider truly is, a lot of people say, well, what is a slider? Because sometimes you'll see a breaking ball that spins to the side. Somebody will call a slider. That could be a big breaking curveball. A slider is truly a sliding fastball that you just hold it off center and cut it just a little bit with your fingers instead of getting right behind it. And that's why it's so difficult a pitch to pick up, because it is a sliding fastball.
In the air, shallow left. And the catch is made by Gant. 1 away. Well, check out the last word with Jim Rome here on Fox Sports Net as they discuss the pros and cons of realignment in Major League Baseball. Jim, along with Commissioner Bud Selig, Diamondbacks owner Jerry Colangelo, and Devil Rays owner Vince Namoli. Tonight, 11:30 p.m. on Fox Sports Net. The last word with Jim Rome. Here's Craig Paquette, 1 for 3 in tonight's game. Doubled in the first inning. Craig is now 10 for his last 15.
Well, this was a heater up and in that got everybody's attention. Watch this one. Paquette kind of gets out of the way, and it goes right off of top of Lieberth's glove and hits Jerry Crawford in the mask. I shouldn't laugh. That wakes everybody up. The hitter said, what was that? The catcher said, I didn't realize it moved that much, and the umpire is saying, you better catch the next one.
Well hit into the gap in right center. Second double of the game for Paquette. The 5th double for the St. Louis Cardinals tonight.
Well, Kenny, you've been talking about how red hot Paquette has been. And remember opening day, he was the man at first base when everyone had expected to see Mark McGwire, and all he did was hit a 3-run homer that day. We talked about the Cardinals' depth. You can also see the team batting average, 2nd in the league. But the Cardinals have depth, and that's what it takes to win, because you're not going to go unscathed with injuries throughout a season. They've already been bitten by Tatis being out, and also by a bunch of pitchers. I mean, they had 6 pitchers at one point on the DL. Here are the 3 new veteran pitchers that are all sitting there. Kyle on the right. That was Kyle on the right, and in the middle was Hinkin.
Bounce to short. Paquette held at second, now heads to third as Rutherford still cannot grab the baseball.
You know, that's not easy. On this stuff, if you once boot the ball a little bit or take your eye off it, it's like a ping pong ball on a ping pong table. It starts scooting all over the place. The ball's being okay. He caught it a little bit behind him. Now he goes to pick it up again as he chases it. Oh, I missed it. Finally, you want to step on it. make it stop rolling.
Relaford's 7th error the last 15 games. He did not commit an error over the first 16. Now 7 in the last 15.
Well, that's not only an error, that's an embarrassment right there. You're embarrassed by the time you ended up around the first base. You're the shortstop and end up by the first base foul line.
Sean Dunston batting for the first time tonight with runners on first and third. Another chance for Relaford. And this time, perfect. The 6-4-3 double play. As we head to the bottom of the 7th, with the Cardinals leading 5-2, let's take a look at what's coming your way tonight on the National Sports Report. And for that, we take you to the Fox Network Center.
This National Sports Report sports break is brought to you by Goodyear.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Zalasko with this sports break. The Braves down the Giants 3-2. Greg Maddux went 7 innings for the win. And John Rocker getting back on track, struck out 2 to record the save. Alex Ochoa singled in Pokey Reese in the 10th inning to lead the Reds over the Pirates. 4-3 the final. News, scores, and highlights nightly on the National Sports Report right here on Fox Sports Net.
7th inning stretch time in Philadelphia. Many of the fans came to watch Mark McGwire, and he is not disappointed. Hit home runs in each of the first 2 innings. Now leads the National League. And remember, McGwire missed 10 games. He has hit 16 home runs in 30 games. And the Cardinals have hit 84. This is their 40th game. So they're averaging over 2 home runs per game. If they stay on that pace, they will easily set a Major League record, which was set by the Mariners back in '97, 264 home runs. But if you average 2 home runs a game over the course of the entire season, you would break 300.
Boy, it's not what we used to think of as a Cardinal type of attack. After watching Whitey Herzog's Rabbits run without too much in the way of power, this club is really loaded. You know, they could do a lot more base stealing if they needed, but they have so much power they don't do it.
Here's Ron Gant leading off for the Phillies in the 7th, and he takes a strike. You know, when you and I worked the Cardinals-Reds game a couple of Saturdays ago on FX, we talked about the 1986 St. Louis Cardinals, who hit 58 home runs all season. All season they hit 58. They already have 84 this year. Andy Van Slyke led the Cardinals that year with 13. You mentioned Whitey Herzog. He said back then, we just hoped to break Roger Maris's record in the whole season, and they did not in 1986. This year, 17 different Cardinals have homered, including 2 pitchers. Rick Ankiel has 2, and Andy Bennis hit his first of the season here in Philly on Tuesday night. Backhanded by Renteria, throws on the run, but Gant beats it out. An infield hit for Ron Gant, his second base hit tonight. There's Andy Bennis in the Cardinals dugout. He went deep on Tuesday in the Cardinals' 8-2 victory. Here it is, off Robert Person, a St. Louis native. Abreu 0 for 3 tonight. Abreu and Rowland, the only 2 Phillies who have not reached base.
Now, we talked about Mike James coming in, being a side wheeler to face right-handed hitters. Coming from that angle and stepping toward the hitter, then throwing the outer part of the plate the way he did to Doug Glanville makes it awful tough on a right-hander. But sometimes these type of pitchers who throw from the side have trouble with left-handed hitters unless they have something away from the left-hander. Now, by throwing that pitch in there, he's trying to set up something away. I venture to say that Matheny and James will try to go down and away now with either a sinker, as you see Matheny look into the dugout, not for pitch selection, but how to handle a runner at first base. They didn't go away. They went low and in. They stayed inside on Bobby Abreu.
Abreu facing James for the first time. 2 balls, 1 strike. Nobody out. Bottom of the 7th inning. Gant the runner on first. Strike call, 2-2.
Well, there's what I thought they'd do before. That was a backdoor breaking ball. He throws that thing from the side like a frisbee. And he dropped that over the outside part of the plate away from Abreu. Now he can do a number of things. He's got a cushion of 1 pitch here. He can go hard back in, or he can try to drop it over the outside again, or try to run a ball away. Freeze Abreu, hoping that he's not looking for the ball away. No, they're going back inside.
And the count is now full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. With nobody out, Bobby Abreu at the plate. Ron Gant, the runner on first.
Ron Gant just glanced over to the first base coach, Brad Mills, to see if he's running or not.
Gant goes. Abreu strikes out. Here's the throw down to second. Safe. So the Phillies have stolen 2 on Matheny tonight. Glanville and now Gant with his second steal of the year.
Kenny, this is nearly a perfect throw. You have a pitcher with a big leg action. It takes a little while to get the ball there and kind of that loopy arm. Look at Matheny get that ball off, almost a strike, but that was a good jump and hustle by Ronnie Gant. He hustled the infield base hit, and he hustled for that stolen base. Great camera shot. Look at this. Definitely was in there. Boy, that's great camera work.
Scott Rowland 0 for 3 tonight, following his 2 home run performance last night. Both teams with 10 hits. Excuse me, Jeff. Cardinals 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Phillies 2, 10, and 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ken. I was just thinking about Rowland. He stands a little like McGwire, only with his hands higher. But for a big guy, he also, we mentioned he's 6'4". Mark McGwire, of course, 6'5". But you can see how big Rowland is. But for a big guy, he doesn't have a real big swing. From the side, you take a look, and he looks, he squats a little bit down in there like Mark McGwire, but he holds his hands higher. But he really gets the bat through the strike zone quickly.
2-1.
It's awfully tough for a right-handed hitter when you have a pitcher facing you who throws from the side, who strides towards you, and then throws that ball kind of around the horn at you, that breaking ball like that. The tendency as you stand in the box as a right-hander is that you want to come open. You want to pull your shoulder open so you can see the ball better and get to that ball because it looks like it's coming in. It normally ends up out over the plate. Guys that hit, right-handed hitters that hit people that throw from the side like this, the best are the ones that shoot the ball the other way.
James getting set for the 2-2. Here's the third baseman, Paquette, for the second out. Gant holding at second. Time now for another Fox Sports Net game break. Marlins hosting the Padres. Top of the 5th, San Diego leading 2-1 with your buddy from the White Sox, Alex Fernandez, on the mound. Ryan Klesko goes deep, his 8th home run of the season to right field. Padres lead 3-2 in the 7th as Fernandez makes his return after missing his last start with an elbow injury. But the big story, the Marlins, who coming into play today led the National League with 37 steals, have stolen 10 bases. 10 bases stolen by the Florida Marlins as Lieberthal grounds out to the shortstop, Renteria. So the Phillies strand Gant on second and still trail the Cardinals after 7, 5-2. Fox Sportsnet Baseball Thursday from Philadelphia. The vet, Kenny Albert, Jeff Torborg. We move to the 8th inning with the Cardinals leading 5-2. Mark McGwire has driven in all 5 St. Louis runs with a pair of home runs. And the new pitcher for the Phillies here in the 8th, 31-year-old left-hander Scott Aldrin.
Well, we talked a number of times about how left-handers who can get the breaking ball over away from a left-handed hitter have a chance to stay in this game. Well, Scott Aldred, at 6'4", 220 pounds, big left-hander, has played for Detroit, Colorado, Montreal, Detroit again, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and now the Phillies. And you can see his numbers this season. But there really is a dearth of left-handed pitching coming out of the bullpen in Major League Baseball.
Aldred has averaged 1 strikeout per inning this season. He struck out 2 Cardinals in 2/3 of an inning in Tuesday's game. Fernando Vina steps in, leading off an inning, Jeff, for the 5th time tonight. His 5th at bat of the game. All 5 have led off innings.
Boy, he's made a major difference.
And Aldred hits Vina, leading off the 8th.
When a club gets burned, it's burned in the bullpen a lot of times, especially when they're struggling. And the middle of the bullpens throughout Major League Baseball have been a problem. And it's not just now. It's always been the case. But if you can get your roles set up in the bullpen to get you from the starter to the setup guy or the closer, you've got a club that gets in a pretty good groove. But boy, if you get one of those situations where it can't seem anybody in the middle get anybody out, you have a problem.
Here's Edgar Renteria, who has 2 hits in 2 at-bats tonight after replacing Placido Polanco. Renteria doubled in the 4th, singled in the 6th as he takes ball 1 from Scott Aldred. Jason Boyd pitched 1 inning, allowed 1 hit in relief of Kurt Schilling, who went 6. Aldred, the 3rd Phillies pitcher of the night. He hit Vina, the first man he faced, here in the 8th. Aldred fakes a throw to first. Edmonds on deck, and then McGwire.
Well, somebody might ask why or how can he fake to first base without throwing?
Ground ball to the second baseman, Morandini. Torellisford for 1, back to first. Now the Phillies have turned their second double play in the last 2 innings. Well, going deep steps into the world of the adrenaline junkie. 50-foot waves, 1,000-foot free falls, but do these daredevils have a death wish? Hooked on Adrenaline, Sunday at 7 on Fox Sports Net. Going deep with Chris Myers. Check local listings.
Kenny, I was starting to say, when Aldred faked to first base, you could hear the moan in the crowd. He stepped off first. If you step off the rubber first, you can fake to first base. And what he was trying to do was keep Vina close, and he did do that so that the double play, when it was made, Vina never even got to second base.
Jim Edmonds batting .469 on the road, which leads the National League. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Hitting in Edmonton. A lot of Mitch Rubenstein fans out there watching who wait for the headlines in our full-page graphics. I think Mitch has a fan club.
Yeah, his mom and dad.
Even Jim Edmonds laughing at it. 3-1 count, 2 outs. In the Cardinals' 8th. St. Louis leading 5-2. And Edmonds increases that road batting average with his 2nd hit of the game. What does it mean? Mark McGwire will bat here in the 8th inning. Back of the 1st. Off Kurt Schilling. A 3-run home run, clearing the bases. Then in the 2nd, a true-on shot to give the Cardinals a 5-0 lead. McGwire was then intentionally walked in the 4th inning. Bounced to short in the 6th. That will be all for Scott Aldred, as Wayne Gomes, who has blown 3 of his last 4 save opportunities, not a save situation tonight, but he will come in to pitch for the Phils. Face Wayne Gomes, who started the season with a 13-inning scoreless streak, but over the last week has blown 3 save opportunities. Lifetime, McGwire against Gomes is 1 for 3 with a home run.
But Wayne has got good stuff. The problem he's had is his command. He can't get the ball where he wants it. He gets behind in a count, and he has to come in with it and get raked.
McGwire takes a strike. 0-1 with 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Edmonds the runner on first. McGwire 2 home runs. He's driven in 5. McGwire with a shot. Deep center field. Glanville looking up. McGwire hits his 3rd home run of the night.
Not much you can say after watching Superman play this game. Just take your shirt off. There's a big S on it. And you can see now why Terry Francona intentionally walked him earlier in the game. That's the only way they've been able to get him out, basically, or by the shift. Here's the pitch. This is a breaking ball. This is a pretty good pitch. Dead center field. Look at him go down and get this ball. It looks like he's playing with a golf ball and everybody else with a big, heavy medicine ball. Now he drives that ball.
For Mark McGwire, his 5th career 3 home run game. He sets a new career high with 7 runs batted in. 7-2 Cardinals. McGwire 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in tonight, as he watches number 3 leave the ballpark. His 17th of the season, 539th of his career. So we head to the bottom of the 8th in Philadelphia. The Mark McGwire Show continues after these messages. McGwire, 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in tonight for the St. Louis Cardinals. This is 3rd homer off Wayne Gomes in the top of the 8th inning.
Did you see how big his eyes got as he saw that breaking ball come in? And I can't believe he hit it that far on a ball that was relatively down in the strike zone, but his eyes got huge.
The new pitcher for the Cardinals here in the 8th is 25-year-old left-hander Jose Rodriguez, who began the season in Double-A. He was recalled on Tuesday after Tony La Russa, Jeff, on an off day this past Monday, traveled to Memphis specifically to scout Rodriguez, but he did not see any action because Memphis starter Mark Nussbeck took a perfect game into the 9th inning. Nussbeck lost the perfect game and the no-hitter by allowing 2 singles. Memphis won the game. They beat Colorado Springs 9-0. And Rodriguez, despite not being able to audition for Tony La Russa on Monday, was called up. He was 3-0 with 1 save and an earned run average of 0.96 at Memphis.
Well, that is a good story because, you know, when a major league manager comes in to see a particular pitcher, he's going to get him in a game. But obviously, Tony would be the first to say, hey, perfect game. We can't mess with that.
And there are Rodriguez's numbers this year at both AA Arkansas and AAA Memphis. Facing Kevin Jordan, leading off the bottom of the 8th inning. But the big story, Mark McGwire, 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in, a new career high, his 5th career 3 home run game. Remember, the last major leaguer to hit 4 home runs in a game did it wearing a Cardinal uniform. Mark Whitten, now with the Cleveland Indians.
Yes, against Cincinnati.
Back in September of '93.
I've been watching baseball a long time. I've been on a team where a man hit 3 home runs in the past. Leroy Stanton for the Angels. We were together as teammates with Nolan Ryan pitching in Baltimore. But to watch Mark McGwire, you know you're watching history. You know what he's doing is exceptional. And you still sit here, you saw it, you're not sure you believe it.
Jordan rips one foul down the left field line. As we mentioned earlier, McGwire's last 3 home run game was right here at the Vet 2 years ago tomorrow, May 19th, 98. Here in Philadelphia. Ironically, he played his first game as a St. Louis Cardinal here in Philadelphia, August of 97. And he set a new career high tonight with 7 runs batted in. Bounce to the shortstop, Renteria. 1 away. McGwire had driven in 6 runs in a game 3 times. Did it last July against the White Sox. That was the last time. Tonight, he has homered in the 1st, the 2nd, and the 8th.
That's the original sign. He just hasn't taken it down yet. So we got a chance if we can get this McGwire out of the lineup.
Mickey Morandini, perfect tonight, 3 for 3, a pair of doubles and a single. He's driven in a run. McGwire started the day tied for 8th with Mickey Mantle with 536 home runs. He's now 3 ahead of Mickey.
No, I'm watching it with you. We did a game last year when he hit 500 and 501 in St. Louis together. That was a night that Tony Gwynn conceivably could have gotten a 3,000 hit the same night. He didn't that night and went on to Montreal and was able to accomplish that great feat.
Rodriguez hits Morandini. 3rd batter hit by a pitch in tonight's game. Morandini heads down to 1st, and Rodriguez will face Desi Relaford.
So you're talking about this young pitcher auditioning for Tony La Russa. One of the things he wants to see him do is be effective against left-handed hitters, not hit them. Obviously, he's not trying to.
First Major League appearance for Rodriguez. Ball 1 on the inside corner. Relaford 2 for 2 with an RBI. Alex Arias is on deck. He will pinch hit for the pitcher, Wayne Gomes, who faced only 2 batters and allowed McGwire's 3rd home run of the game. Now 2-0 as Mike Matheny heads out to the mound for a chat with Rodriguez. There's Gomes on the left. 2nd career home run for McGwire off Gomes.
Well, there are times in a player's career or at times in a season where you really can't do anything right. Wayne Gomes is in that spot right now. And obviously he can sit there and say, oh, man, he hit the home run off of me. Well, there were 2 hit off of Schilling before that, so McGwire has hit several off a lot of people, but it doesn't make you feel any better.
The count now 3-0 on Relaford. With 1 out, bottom of the 8th inning. 17,000 on hand here at the Vet. But years from now, 50,000 will say they were here to watch McGwire hit 3. Strike called, 3-1.
Especially if he were to hit again and hit another one. Then it'd be more like a million saw it.
Well, the Cardinals will need to put a bunch of men on base, score a lot of runs in the 9th inning for us to see McGwire again. Unless the Phillies stage a miraculous comeback. Ball 4, so Rutherford heads down to first. Phillies have 2 men on. And Alex Arias will pitch hit for the pitcher, Wayne Gomes. Arias, the former Marlin, batting only .111. 4 for 36 this year. He's 2 for 7 as a pinch hitter. And that will be all for Jose Rodriguez. In his first major league appearance, goes a third of an inning. He hit 1 batter. He walked another.
Not what they were looking for. As you can see, Dave Duncan going to the mound. He's already signaled to the bullpen.
Mark Thompson will come out to pitch for the Cardinals here in the bottom of the 8th. All Mark McGwire has done tonight: 3 home runs, career high 7 runs batted in. First inning off Kirk Schilling. McGwire with his first of 3, his 15th of the year. Next inning, Schilling again. Number 16 into the upper deck, 462 feet. And in the 8th, Wayne Gomes, our Nissan plays of the game. Pitcher for Mark McGwire's Cardinals is Mark Thompson, who returned Tuesday after a month on the disabled list with a groin injury and recorded the final 2 outs of that game. And he will face pinch hitter Alex Arias with 1 out and runners on first and second. Strike called, 0-1.
Mark Thompson first surfaced at the major league level in 1994 with Colorado and stayed there through the 1998 season. Signed by the Cardinals to a minor league contract. Cardinals are really looking for help any way they can for their bullpen. They've got their 2 left-handers that they're waiting to come back, Scott Radinsky and Jesse Orozco. That would give more balance to their bullpen.
Orozco's first trip to the DL in his 19-year career.
Look at this. You can see where the Cardinals' problems are. The bullpen, and that has really hurt them. 7 blown saves at this early juncture in the season. That is really difficult. You know, they went out to really fortify their starting rotation, which they did. Dave Beers, their closer, you see warming up, has been excellent. There's a near-perfect pitch from Mark Thompson. Alex Arias, this ball is on the inside part of the plate. The Cardinals have pitched the inside part of the plate beautifully tonight.
Arias, the second Phillies pinch hitter called out on strikes tonight. Pritchett earlier, and now Arias.
Yes, this ball was moving so much. This kept moving inside. This was like a Greg Maddux type of pitch that moved so much.
Doug Glanville 1 for 4, singled and stole a base in the 5th inning. That was the first pitch from Thompson into the Phillies dugout. 0-1. 2 outs, bottom of the 8th inning. Morandini, the runner on second. Rutherford on at first. Terry Francona's Phillies trailing the Cardinals 7-2. Glanville fouls it back. No balls, 2 strikes.
You know, Kenny, as we sit here, the Phillies came into this game at 14-24, down 5 runs now. That is a very difficult way to start a season, especially for a Phillies team that came in with such high hopes for this season. They were right in contention for a while last year until they slumped the last 2 months of the season. Normally, it's your young teams that get off to good starts and then either run out of gas a little bit because they were running on emotion and have lack of experience. And the veteran team knows how to handle it. But right now, this Philly team is just can't seem to get hitting on all cylinders.
Phillies had a 6-game winning streak about a week and a half ago, but then went through that stretch when Gomes blew 3 saves and 4 opportunities. 2-2 to Glanville. Ground ball to the right side. Backhanded by McGwire. The flip to Thompson. McGwire does it in the field as well. We head to the 9th inning. 7-2 Cardinals. 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in for Mark McGwire. 7-2 Cardinals as we move to the 9th here in Philadelphia. The new Phillies pitcher is Chris Brock, who went 0-3 in 5 starts, but is not allowed a run in 4 2/3 out of the bullpen.
Kenny, we were talking during the break that we saw him pitch, had him start against Atlanta. He had a home run in that game, coming from the Giant organization.
J.D. Drew 0 for 3 with a walk tonight. And I think the pitchers hitting home runs this year is contagious. Cardinals pitchers have 3. Brock down in Atlanta. Todd Stottlemyre right here in Philadelphia with his father Mel in attendance, watching him pitch from the stands for the first time. He's seen his son pitch from the Yankee dugout.
Terry Wood hit a home run in that first game back.
That's right.
Yeah, had seen it.
There's Andy Bettis, who homered on Tuesday. J.D. Drew with a base hit to right field. Leading off the Cardinals' 9th. And Drew breaks an 0 for 10 stretch. Time now for another Fox Sports Net game break in Montreal. Top of the 9th, tied at 6. Tony Womack on third. Steve Finley hits a sacrifice fly to left. Womack scores the go-ahead run, and the Diamondbacks win it over the Expos by the score of 8-6. Earlier, Womack had extended his hitting streak to 14 games, and Finley hit his 15th home run of the year. Greg Paquette 2 for 4, a pair of doubles tonight. Inside for ball 1. J.D. Drew, the runner on first. Nobody out here in the top of the 9th inning. Cardinals leading 7-2. Mark McGwire, 3 home runs. He's driven in all 7 Cardinal runs. The executive producers of Fox Sports Net are Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. The coordinating producer for Baseball Thursday is Larry Myers. Tonight's game produced by Tom Hewitt, directed by Dave Hagan. And the head of field operations is Andrea Jenkins. Now 2-1 on Paquette. Thanks also to Mark Alsmeyer, Jonathan Evans, Gary Nicholas, Mitch Rubenstein, the aforementioned Mitch Rubenstein, Kevin Rose, Tom Thomas, Becky Solomon, and Jim Stamos working his first game with us, handling the numbers here in the booth tonight. Excellent job by all. Paquette with a line shot foul into the left field stands, 2-2.
You say handling the numbers or running the numbers?
Crunching the numbers.
Oh, crunching.
I think I said handling the first time. He is crunching the numbers. Is that right, Jim? Crunching the numbers.
McGwire is crunching the numbers.
Jim crunching the numbers, McGwire crushing the baseball. Ground ball to the shortstop, Rutherford. They get the force. And second. Coming up next, it's the all-new National Sports Report, the nightly show that gives you a complete wrap-up of all the day's sports events. Giants and the Braves, Flyers, Devils, Game 3, and the Tiger Woods controversy. That's all coming up following the game of the National Sports Report. Mike Matheny has reached base 3 times tonight. Intentional walk, a double, and he also reached on an error. The 0-1 to Matheny. Now 1 ball, 1 strike. Mark McGwire now all alone. in 8th on the all-time home run list. He is just 121 shy of third-place Willie Mays. As the Phillies turn the 6-4-3. Phillies have turned 3 consecutive innings. We head to the bottom of the 9th. All McGwire tonight. (7-2) Cardinals. Mark McGwire's 5th career 3-home-run game. A career-high 7 runs batted in. And 33-year-old right-hander Dave Veers will try and close things out for the St. Louis Cardinals. His 19th appearance, he has 7 saves. This not a save situation. Veers comes on to pitch the 9th for St. Louis.
With excellent stuff. He really got a chance last year to show that he was a closer. And that split-finger fastball, which is one of the best in the major leagues, is what he varies with his 92-mile-an-hour fastball and sharp slider. Last year, when given a chance by the Rockies, he saved 31 games. The Cardinals acquired him to solidify their closing situation out of the bullpen. They sent Jose Jimenez, Manny Ibar, and Rick Crozier over in a deal with the Rockies, along with Brett Butler, an infielder. And the Cardinals, with all the problems they've had in their bullpen, Dave Duncan was saying they are very pleased with what Veers has done for them.
7 of 9 in save situations. Veers will face Gant, Abreu, and Rowland here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Unless the Phillies can rally, they will lose for the 5th time in their last 6 games. As they await the arrival of the Colorado Rockies, while the Cardinals travel to Pittsburgh for a 3-game weekend series. As Ron Gant takes strike 1. Gant 2 for 4 in the game tonight, a pair of singles. He hit a 3-run home run yesterday to help beat his former club. Now the big story tonight, Mark McGwire. 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in. Two on Gant. Mitch Rubenstein does it again. Big Max arches. McGwire's 3 home runs have traveled a total of 1,319 feet. An average of 439. An average of 439. On McGwire's 3 home runs.
It's amazing. You know, there have been guys in history, they said they used to hit fence scrapers where they just go down the other side of the fence. Still a home run. McGwire, when he hits them, they stay hit. In fact, the fans in the bleachers are in danger because that ball's not coming down softly when he hits them out there. That breaks seats.
And the fans now chanting, "Let's go Flyers," as the Flyers have taken a 4-2 lead over New Jersey in the 3rd period. He's in the wrong place. Gant works his way back to a full count, leading off the Phillies' 9th. He still believes, Jeff.
Just woke up.
If he did, he missed a whole lot.
Why would you go to a game and sit in the top row of the stadium about as far away as you can get just so that your sign would be seen?
It's gotten on TV more than you and I tonight.
Oh, that's true.
Gant fouls it back to the screen. So the count remains full.
I mean, I remember John Adams in Cleveland, the old ballpark, pounding on the drum all by himself up there. But he wasn't just sitting there that far away.
I think the gentleman here is trying to reach the Liberty Bell high atop Veterans Stadium.
Oh.
I don't think he can get that high. Dave Beers comes in with the 3-2, and he strikes out Ron Gantz. Beers overpowers Gant with the fastball up and in as Bobby Abreu steps to the plate.
You know, Kenny Beers is a big guy. He's 6'2", about 220 pounds, and he can pop that fastball, not to mention throw the split that goes the other way. That was kind of a high-riding fastball.
Abreu takes strike one. Cardinals 7 runs, 13 hits. Phillies 2-10-2. McGwire a 3-run homer in the first, a 2-run shot in the second, another 2-run shot in the 8th. Popped up, shallow left center. And the catch is made by Edmonds. The Phillies are down to their final out. Well, you mentioned earlier Mark McGwire likes to talk about team. It's a team effort, not a one-man team. Tonight it has been.
It really has been, but I guarantee what he's going to talk about are the guys getting on base in front of him.
Especially in the first inning.
Yes. It's happened so many times now with Fernando Vina making things happen.
Vina led off both the first and the second with base hits. Came around to score on McGwire's first 2 home runs. Edmonds has scored twice. And those are all the runs scored by the Cardinals tonight. Vina 2, Edmonds 2, McGwire 3. Edmonds singled in front of McGwire twice. Not a good night for Bobby Abreu and Scott Rowland, who piled up the hits over the first 2 games of this series. Tonight, a combined 0 for 9. Rowland 0 for 4. Here's the 1-1 from Beers. And the Phillies now down to their final strike.
Phillies are a good-looking team to come out and watch, so they're an exciting young team. They just haven't gotten on track yet. You can see the look on Bobby Abreu's face, kind of symbolic of what's happened to him this year.
Rowland fists one into shallow left. Calling for it is the shortstop, Renteria. And the Cardinals win 2 of 3 here in Philadelphia as Beers pitches a 1-2-3 ninth. And the Cardinals win it 7-2. A 3-home run, 7 RBI night for Mark McGwire, tying his career best with 3 home runs for the 5th time, and a new career high with 7 RBIs. So the Cardinals win it by the score of 7-2. Be sure to tune in to FX Baseball Saturday at 1 Eastern as the Cleveland Indians take on the New York Yankees from Jacobs Field. Baseball Thursday continues next week here on Fox Sports Net as the Blue Jays meet the Red Sox. Some of you will see the Pirates and the Diamondbacks. Check local listings. Keep it right here. The National Sports Report is coming up next in most areas. So for Terry Francona's Phillies, they lose for the 5th time in their last 6 games. Cardinals take 2 of 3 from the Philadelphia Phillies as McGwire puts on a one-man show. 3 homers, 7 RBIs. For Jeff Torborg and our entire crew, Kenny Albert saying so long from the vet.